Hello and welcome back to Trails Through Trails, the podcast where we play through the long-running Trail series, chapter by chapter, game by game. I'm your host, Lex, and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Matt, I use he, him.
And this week, we are doing the first half of chapter 4 of Trails in the Sky the Third. Never gets easier.
Yes, it is finally time to draw some arbitrary lines in the sand where we decide enough is enough, I need to go to bed. And that is halfway through chapter 4, when we get a new sealing stone with a friend inside it. We're also going to be covering 3 memory doors this week, the most doors we've ever looked at, which I remember which they are. So that will be Moon Door 3 and Star Doors 4 and 5. So we have a long one and 2 short ones, although those definitions are loose.
Loose indeed. Yeah, I've reached the point where I'm planning where I'm like, you know what, I shouldn't do all these now. I should put one of these off to the next chapter. And then I'm like, wait a second. The next half of the chapter has a bunch too. I can't do that. Wait, and then I look ahead and I'm like, we just have to do it. I'm putting my foot down for next week, and there's one that I've punted to do some future time for next week's plan.
I can't see it in frame in the shot right now, but I assume if you panned your camera like 20 degrees to the left, I'd see like a big Charlie Day style corkboard with strings drawn all over the place trying to figure out how the fuck to structure this season.
Pretty much. It's in my brain and also written around in my notes app. It's like pieces of it are in all places around my life. And if you put them all together like a jigsaw puzzle, you would see the face of God and faint.
The Zamurian Da Vinci Code.
Exactly. That's me. That's me in my brain.
Who's the Da Vinci of Zamuria? Would that be like Epstein?
Wait, I don't know if he did any art. He was a scientist, an inventor, and obviously Da Vinci was that too. But Da Vinci also did a lot of painting, and I don't think we've ever heard of...
Yeah, I don't know that any of them have a artistic bone in their body, just a technological one.
Maybe it's that one emperor in Erebonia who, he obviously it's different because he was an emperor, but he founded schools and he did military stuff, and he wrote some poetry at one point. He just did a bunch of stuff that he's famous for it being stuff in a bunch of different lanes. I mean, also it helped that he's emperor, so anything he does is kind of remembered. I don't know if that counts.
But with all those talents,
Olivier, actually. You know what? Olivier is definitely the Da Vinci.
He's a true Orbaissance Man, yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
All those nude paintings anatomically of Mueller that he's got stacked up in his room from just over and over again.
Exactly.
But before we get into all of the doors that we have to walk through this week, how have we been? What's been going on?
I mean, a lot of IRL stuff has been very stressful the last 2 weeks, but I don't need to talk about that because and everyone listening, just think about what was going on a month ago-ish.
Yeah.
Then again, the way things are going, the most recent 2 weeks that you're experiencing, listener, may have been worse. So
who knows?
Who knows? But in terms of good things, I got back to playing the Sky remake, which I had kind of put on pause because when I was first playing it, life and work just got so crazy and I put it down for a bit.
Yeah, what point were you up to when you started?
I was mid-chapter 1, so I was in Bose, and we'd met Olivier and escorted him to town, but then he had parted ways with us.
Right, okay.
So I picked up, and now I'm right about to enter Genesis Academy, which is ironic because I was at the gates there, and I turned it off, and then I'm at the gates there again in this chapter, and it was very full circle in a weird way. It's such a good game. I just keep being wow.
Yeah, it's so good. They've been dropping trailers for second chapter, more like crafts and F's craft animations.
Yeah, there was a gameplay trailer, I think, today or yesterday.
Oh, a new one today? I haven't seen that one yet. It's looking good. Can't wait. Yeah. Give us that release date. But no, I'm glad that you're getting back into it. It is such a beautiful remake, and yeah, probably helps to have taken the breather to not burn out on this, especially when we're cycling back and forth to all these locations now.
It was good timing for me being back at it. Man, it's so good. There are a few moments, I admit, where I'm I missed the line from the original localization because it was just a bit punchier the way they translated a few things, but it's still great. And I do miss chest messages in it, I admit. I always try to, I always find myself clicking to chest again, and then I'm wait, no, there's no point.
I'm glad that we get 2 more games after this where they do exist before we have to really put them to bed because...
I know.
Come on. Second chapter remake, step it up, please.
They weren't in the original Japanese, so I don't think there's a chance, but I want it. What about you? What have you been up to?
So I have had a pretty busy last couple of days of gaming.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing another review, which it'll be well and truly out by the time this goes out. So I'm reviewing Pragmata from Capcom.
Oh, yeah. You liked the demo, right? You played that?
Yeah, I played the demo. For anyone unfamiliar, this is a game where you're playing as a soldier man in space on the moon, in like a broken down lunar facility, and you're assisted by a little android girl named Diana. So basically, the overall mechanic is that all the enemies are like robots and armored. So you have to hack them in real time with Diana using like a little, almost like a pipe dream style grid puzzle where you've got to go through different icons to crack them open, put them in open state, and then like finish the hack by going to the end point on this little puzzle. So there'll be like blockages, or you get like power ups so you can do extra stuff. But you're doing this in real time while the enemies are still advancing on you. It doesn't freeze time or anything.
Oh, very cool.
So you're having to manage doing this grid where you're using the face buttons to go up, down, left, right, while still moving and dodging and potentially shooting at the same time, which seemed like too much. Like, I thought, this isn't, like, this is very complex and kind of hard to do. Is that going to survive for a whole game? And it did.
Wow.
They expand on the mechanics in interesting ways. You get lots of modifiers. You can even change what the default icons do. Like, you get modifiers, so instead of just opening, like, once they open, it'll turn into, like, overheating or, like, freezing them in place or whatever else. Like, you can kind of customize to your play style. It's, like, the combat becomes second nature, almost like a rhythm game in a really fun way.
Ooh, okay.
Because there's a good amount of enemies, but they're, like, a handful of archetypes and then, like, advanced versions of them. You know, they turn from white to red or whatever. So you kind of get used to their moving patterns, how they move, how they sound when they move. So I found by the end of the game, I was like doing these much more complicated hacking screens and just on instinct knowing, oh, the giant guys make that noise before they like bum rush you from behind. So I know that once I hear that noise, I wait a beat and then I dodge and I just effortlessly skip the attack.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, the story's really interesting. It's a lot to do with 3D printing and AI, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But the story comes to a really fun conclusion. This isn't my review, I can say this. There's also some cool post-game content where you've got to do particular challenges like, 100%ing an area to unlock an extra puzzle. And then once you do all of them, I think you get like a final beat of story and like cool deluxe costumes for your guys.
Fun. Maybe I will check it out, yeah.
I would say overall playtime for the main story was like 8 to 10 hours. So it's not a huge
that's not bad at all.
game. But you're then like, going back, it's gate punk style where you're sort of returning with new abilities to unlock stuff and find the treasure chest you missed or whatever, because there's heaps of stuff hidden all over the place. It was really fun, like a nice little self-contained story. The little girl Diana does not get annoying, which I am very happy about.
Oh, good.
Because she's very sweet and endearing. They're kind of finding a good sweet spot between like being childlike and being like an AI who's learning about the world. So
I just realized we should let the listener know that gate punk means Metroidvania.
Yes.
This is a term that our fellow show, TWG show Into the Aether coined, I believe.
Yes.
But we use it all the time now, and I think I just occurred to me that, wait, this is not the universal lingo.
Yeah, I probably should drop that.
I should let them know.
Yeah, so find and replace gate punk with Metroidvania in your mind if you like. But it's also like a less derivative term from specific games, which I do
it's
like.
Fun.
For anyone else who's looking to like change up their dialogue, you can also swap out, what's the actual name? Like
for Sky Ballet?
Yes, like plane type stuff like Ace Combat is a Sky Ballet, not a shoot 'em up.
Yeah. And then I think there was an attempt to come up with something for farming sim, but like for cozy games, like a Neighborvania or something like that.
Yeah.
This didn't really go anywhere, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I think we should rename every genre. Like, you know what? Let's replace JRPG with read 'em ups.
Read 'em up. That's true for this chapter, at least.
So yeah, I took a break from read 'em ups to play Pragmata. Had a great time. I probably will go and finish all the post game stuff because it's challenging, but not crazy. Plus, it's got like advanced difficulties and stuff if you want to repeat. It does kind of feel Resident Evil in a way in that it's kind of that shorter runtime that you can repeat with more upgrades and stuff.
And more challenges.
Like just like a bombastic over the top final fight as well, which
the
whole game looks sick. Yeah.
Did you play it on PlayStation 5?
I did. I played it on PlayStation 5, PS5 Pro. So I got to do, I think it's exclusive to that, the 120 hertz mode.
I didn't know you were fancy like that.
Oh, it's because my PlayStation died and I had to replace it.
No, I know. You did tell me during Resident Evil. I was just teasing you.
Thank you, EB Games, for accepting the trade-in of my old PS5, which was having some power management issues, but you didn't see that when you tested it. So I did get the PS5 Pro for half price, making it the price of a normal PS5.
Nice.
And this was before these ridiculous price hikes more recently, yeah.
That's what I did to go from my PS4 Pro to a PS5, which I kind of regret because I lost all the data on my PS4 because I backed it up wrong. So now I have to thrift a PS4 Pro. Well, I backed it all up. The problem is I did a full backup instead of just a save data backup, which can only be loaded back onto another PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna, before we play Cold Steel, I'm gonna have to thrift a PS4 Pro, hope that the external hard drive is hasn't been damaged or anything.
Yeah.
Reload everything onto it and then save it because I didn't have a PlayStation Plus at the time. I have to thrift a PS4 Pro for the show. But alas, I will do it for my lovely listeners and also for Reen Schwarzer.
Yeah, at some point I need to dig my PS4 Pro out of storage and do the same, because I did do the save transfer stuff initially, but not every game, and I found one or two games where I'm like, man, I wish I'd backed that up.
Yeah.
For instance, Kingdom Hearts 3, I can't just jump in and play the DLC because I did not back up my save data of the completed game.
That sucks.
Look, Kingdom Hearts is great. I don't really want to play through all of Kingdom Hearts 3 again from the start, completely unblemished. All I have to do is just plug in the other box in the same room and do some copy pasting. One day. Who knows what will inspire that?
It'll happen. I believe it. Is there anything else that we wanted to cover before diving in, or?
That's been about it for me. I feel like I watched a good TV show, but I can't remember what it was, so it probably wasn't that good. That's kind of been my week. I've just, always bouncing around games, but those are kind of what I've been focusing on. It's been Pragmata, which I mainlined for 2 days straight, and just bouncing around Ease 10 and all that stuff. I'm slowly chipping away at that one.
Nice.
But yeah, I am excited, however, to return to the world of Cube.
I'm just warming up.
We enter the world of Cube, specifically with the world of Kevin Graham's probably traumatic memories, and we don't know why they're traumatizing yet, but they're clearly leading somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, except I guess the his mom dying dream within a dream. I think we know why that was traumatic.
So we come in to find Kevin being confirmed as a squire from the 543rd trainee class. So this has been going on for a while.
A long-ass time. And we learn pretty quickly that he's not just a squire who's young for his age, but he was trained by Ein Selnet, who we saw briefly at the beginning of the game and heard is the basis of Sister Cornelia and the Cornelia book. So he knows her pretty well, and we get a close-up of her, and she's hot. She can join my video game wife club. She's very cool.
Yeah, I also like she's very kind of brash and harsh, personality-wise.
Yes.
She's quite cutting.
Yeah.
But is also very clued in. She's not distant. She's still very involved.
Yeah.
She knows that Kevin's kind of got a thing for Rafina, I think. He's a little bit in love with her.
She at least teases him about it, and she's like, no, she's like my older sister, and she doesn't really seem to believe it. But that seems to be the implication, yeah. And she also, teases him about how far he's come from, when he first showed up and was like, I want to be a knight. And she teases him about, she calls him now you're a dog of the church, just like us. And it's interesting the way she talks about the church. She's like, well, our job is just to sniff stuff out for the church. We're basically dogs. You can't tell how much of it is meant to be joking and how much of it might be a bit of resentment or a bit of frustration beyond just a joke.
Because if she's been at it for a while, she's maybe seen the cracks in the system that's left her a little bit less rosy tinted on the whole experience. Or she's just fucking with Kevin. It could be either.
Yeah. But as she's teasing him about Rufina, speak of the devil who shows up, Rufina herself. Kevin's very flustered that she showed up. He thought she was in a different place. But she rushed back for the ceremony.
Very sweet.
She's like, you're an adult. Kevin's like, I'm not really an adult yet. I don't feel like it. I've got so much work to do. We find out that Reese is mad at him because she's mad that he left for Arteria too, and that both of her family members, because at this point Kevin's part of their family, that both of them left her to go work in Arteria.
Yeah. Kevin's excited to see her, but then he has to sort of trot off to receive his new medallion, his new religious wrench. As he leaves, we get a little bit of chat between the girls.
Yeah, it's an interesting little chat.
Yeah, we kind of get included into some elements of the church that we haven't explicitly been told about to this stage.
And the first thing, we get a new proper noun, gets mentioned, is stigma.
Yes.
Because Ayn can tell that Rufino's kind of worried about Kevin. And Rufino's like, it's not that I'm worried he can't handle the work, but she's worried that what happens if a stigma manifested in him, just like it has in you. And I'm quoting it directly because we don't know what this means yet.
Yes. Something that manifests in you.
We know what a stigma is a bit from the whole Weissman thing.
Yeah. It sounds almost involuntary.
Yeah. And we kind of know, like, we've heard the term from, I think, Weissman before. We don't know what it means in this context, and I don't want to overspeak.
She also mentions that even though Rufino herself is a knight now of the Girls' Ritter, she doesn't think that she's at risk of manifesting a stigma. This is obviously like a specialty case thing.
It sounds like that's what you need to be a Dominion.
Yes, that is kind of like the entrance exam almost for becoming a Dominion, is you need to get up into the Girls' Ritter, and then you need to have this stigma thing.
It sounds like she's hit the nun glass ceiling.
She was just rising and rising, and then her wimple bounced off the ceiling, and she said, "Oh, gosh darn." But it does seem like she's kind of at a crossroads. Like, it almost seems like she wants to have a stigma so she can move up in her career, but at the same time, she's so worried, like, treating it like it's almost a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's described in an involuntary way, and she's, like, worried about someone getting it. It's like, so obviously it's not all sunshine and roses, whatever this is.
Well, and the stigma, I mean, the colloquial meaning of the word stigma, right, is like, it's a bad thing, right? It's like a negative association, a negative.
Yeah.
And then the religious meaning in our world, in Christianity, it's when Jesus, it's marks on Jesus' hands.
I was going to say Jesus's air holes, but that's probably a politer way to put it, yes.
Yes. So it's also a bad thing, not because Jesus is considered bad for having them in the church. Crucifixion wounds are generally a bad thing. And it's not, to be fair, it's not just hands. It can also be like all the other places from the crucifixion that you would have. The miracle, a sainthood thing, which doesn't seem like it's exactly what's happening, but that also manifests involuntarily.
It's interesting because, like, a stigma, like, by definition, is like a negative stereotype or a mark of disgrace on you. A stigmata is a negative physical wound related to that.
Yeah.
So a stigma, despite it's like a thing that gets you promoted, it's a bad word. So yeah, the kind of double-edged sword there seems to be pretty clear.
It doesn't seem like it's fun to have.
But Rufina's not at risk of getting one, but she still mentions that she had, like, an Ouroboros, like, society-related case that she just pursued.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they implied that's what she's just come back from or it's, like, a previous mission, but, like, she's still strong if she's going up against a society.
Well, and it's not just a society. I think it's a Louve specifically that they're talking about, right?
Oh.
He referenced that in the last game.
Yeah, that's right.
And they say that, like, if you went up against the strongest member of the society. A couple of interesting facts are, first of all, Ayn thinks, like, Ayn seems to be suggesting she should be able to become a Dominion regardless of the lack of stigma because of her ability. So this is probably, 5 years ago, I think, from what we understand-ish?
I think so, yeah.
So that gives us more of just in terms of the timeline of the society.
Like, the Blade Lord was out there causing trouble 5 years ago still, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sort of wrap up the conversation saying that, like, Kevin could go on to become a Dominion and all this stuff, but really the only thing that's holding him back is that he's too kind.
And to the point that he might drive himself into a corner he can't get out of. And then we get the chapter title, The Dark Stigma.
Interesting and related. But after that, we cut back to the garden where we are hatching our new ceiling stones, plural. The first time we've gotten 2 in one, as opposed to last time when we got, like, a double yoke ceiling stone with Chloe and Sig.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, it cracks open and it's our 2 good friends, Olivier and Zane.
Zane. Our friendly drinking buddies.
Yes.
And Olivier is in, it's not Olivier, it's Prince Olivert, don't you know?
Yes, he's in his red fit with his hair tied back.
He also, he says, this isn't a dream, because I would dream about Shara, not about you. He's like, you're a fine drinking companion, but I wouldn't want to dream about you.
Yeah, and I think Jin says something like, would you rather be drinking with Shara? And he's like, well, listen, being drunk on Shara's company is a lot better than being drunk in her company.
Mueller is unimpressed by the shenanigans. Everyone else is kind of impressed by the fact that they are this chill upon, like, getting out of their stones. For
Jin, it makes sense. He's an A-rank bracer. He's taken on a lot of random crap over the years. But Oliver, Why is he so chill, other than just kind of being disconnected from reality?
He's always like this, though. Remember when he goes to prison? Like, they put him in jail, and he's like, alas, I'm in jail in a foreign country. Alas, let me sing you a song. Like, he's like this with everything. He's so unflappable.
Just vibing.
Yeah, Olivier just continues to not take anything seriously. Makes jokes about, like, oh, the pretty girl's here, blah, 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 blah. And Josette's like, are you sure this is an Erebonian prince? I mean, luckily, we don't have to, see them explain everything that's going on, as per usual. Love that. Thank you, game.
Yes.
And then they talk a bit about the ghost, the mystery ghost lady. Basically kind of establish what we figured out and was kind of mentioned last time, that she, like, seemingly has lost her power, but is connected to the hermit's garden and might be the hermit in the garden, and is slowly getting stronger. And that she's on our side, seemingly.
Yeah, and the cube that we've been carrying around is hers as well, probably, if she's been able to use it as kind of like a conduit to communicate with us.
And then we turn to the question of who this Lord of Phantasma is. Oliver pretty pointedly is like, so Kevin, you don't know who this is, do you? Kevin's like, no. And Reese is like, ... Oliver's like, they're pretty fixated on you. They seem to know a lot about you and about Reese, and, like, they're really into the devils. Like, it kind of seems like it might have to do with you or you and Reese. And Kevin's like, nope, I don't know anything.
Yeah, good old Kevin. Trustworthy, believable.
Yeah. And he tries to deflect and is like, maybe they're an enemy of the Gralsritter. Oliver's like, I guess you would have a lot of enemies as an organization. And Reese apparently hits some sort of limit. And it's like, Kevin, I'm not feeling well. I'm sitting out the next chapter.
Yeah, very abruptly.
And walks off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, she's so self-possessed, Reese. Like,
yeah,
I enjoy her because she does not give a shit about anyone else's opinion. She does what she thinks is the correct thing to do without question. So she's like, hey, I think I'm going to sit this one out. And then before anyone can ask why or kind of disagree with her, it's like, no, come. She's just like, bye. Just leaves.
Take care of him. Bye. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'm not going to stay long enough for you to guilt me into coming with you.
Yeah, it's a real flip considering how, like, much she was pushing to make Kevin go on this mission early on, and now she's just, like, flipped completely.
Kevin runs after her, because he kind of has to. And he's trying to figure out why she's upset. He's like, oh, is it because, like, I know everyone who's coming, and, like, I'm reuniting with friends, and you feel left out? He, like, keeps talking about this idea. He's like, I'm sorry, that's really insensitive of me not to notice you were feeling left out, and, like, I'm really sorry. And Reese is like, why are you putting on an act? And then she's like, yeah, I did feel left out for a bit. That's not what this is about. And, like, even though it bothers me that, like, all that time you were ignoring me, you were off hanging out with other people, I was still glad that you were, like, making friends.
Yeah.
Like, not just isolated and alone all the time. Except now I've just realized that that wasn't true. She specifically mentions that he blamed himself for what happened to Rufina, which we don't think we've heard before.
Yeah.
And that he was taking on dirty jobs as if to punish himself.
Very self-flagellating kind of behavior, which is bad. But it's like, yeah, you're keeping everyone's at arm's length. You're still kind of obsessing over that. And you are clearly more clued into what's going on here in Phantasma than you are letting on. And he tries to smooth it over and kind of, like, make excuses and stuff. And she's like, actually slap.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're worried about me, that's sweet, but you have the wrong idea. Like, I'm not acting. I'm no good at pretending to be anyone other than who I am. Like, very dismissive in a patronizing way.
She's not having it. Whip crack.
And she also points out that he definitely knows what the Lord of Phantasma meant with the cryptic statement at the end of last chapter.
Yeah.
She does consider, she's like, maybe you've even fooled yourself, but you can't fool me. And Kevin's like, you know what, maybe you should sit things out. You seem tired, which is, like, the worst thing you can say. So, which is, like, just gaslighting 101, Kevin here.
Yeah, really, if that is his true personality peeking through on her demand, put it back. Because we don't need that kind of misogynist, you seem tired, you should go lay down, you poor weak nun. Yeah, she's just, like, so kind of, like, off-put by this empty Kevin walking around with his fake personality that she's like, because of that, like, I'm avoiding my job. It's that gross to be around.
She's like, I can't be your squire like this.
Yeah. She kind of takes this moment to, like, wander off towards the waterfall, the healing waterfall, and leave him behind because they were on that long track coming off of the main hub of the garden. And as she leaves, Mr. Josh walks up from behind him, kind of checking in to see what's going on because he's on Overwatch and sees everything that happens as always.
Yeah, it's they don't really go, like, did you hear all that? Like, they don't have that kind of typical exchange, but, like, clearly Joshua was listening in. It's Joshua. Would he be Joshua if he was not CSIing from a distance the whole time?
It's interesting we're getting this, like, interaction between the two, like, know-it-all guys, the secret know-it-alls.
Yeah.
who always keep things under their chest.
And Josh has done some research on Kevin.
Mm.
We don't know how much he was doing, like, before he reunited with Estelle versus, like, since then. But he's like, yeah, I've dug some stuff up about you.
Which is funny to think about Joshua off on his, like, Exodus last game while Estelle confines in Kevin, and just see him, like, perching on top of the next building over going, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then going back and doing research is like, I must know everything about this man who is near my woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of says, yeah, like, I know a lot of stuff. I know you're the heretic hunter. That's the title you've been given.
It is exactly what it sounds like. He hunts down the worst heretics and kills them.
He's a sinner eliminator. Takes him out, and he also, I can't remember if he says that he knows that he is a Dominion or he knows of the Dominions.
He knows he's a Dominion, but I can't remember if we learned that last game. I don't think so. So he knows that there's 12 Dominions, and he knows Kevin's one of them. He's got, like, the whole thing sussed out. He knows Weissman was Kevin. He does point out, he, like, gives Kevin some credit. He's like, but you only kill the sinners that you're sent after. You don't go, like, collateral damage it up.
But not exactly, though, because we do get into some non-lethal collateral damage where he's basically like,
Yes.
hey, I know that you kind of orchestrated some of the shitty events of second chapter, like letting Estelle get kidnapped because it was a means to an end. And he's like, yeah. I knew that was going to happen and I didn't stop it.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd be able to follow after and get closer to my goal of eliminating Weissman by letting Estelle not come to harm, but be put at threat, because he's like, I trust her to not get killed. I trust them not to kill her because she's a pawn. It's a shitty move, but I did it.
What's interesting, I think, is that Kevin is almost like in his portraits and his attitude, he flips his switch. Once Josh starts, like, saying, I know you did this and that, Kevin's like, yeah, I'm bad to the bone. Like, his energy. All of a sudden, he's like, yeah, I did all that. I didn't care. I got close to you guys just for my benefit. I faked the whole thing. He's, like, got the smug look and, like, you were all bait to me. And Josh was like, yeah, I know. It doesn't change that I'm grateful to you. And Kevin does not know how to respond.
Yeah. It's weird because he's kind of meeting an equal. It's like game recognized game, where, like, typically the question he's asked is, did you do something? And he says no. And Joshua's walked up and said, you did this thing, correct? And he's like, yep, you're obviously, like, on the level, so I know that you're not ruined by morality or whatever. So I can tell you. He's like, yeah, I did a shitty thing to make a good thing happen. And, like, Joshua's kind of like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It sucks, but you did get a good outcome in the end, and no one who didn't need to died.
See, my impression, and this could be a thing where we're reading it differently, my impression is that Kevin is, the way he is saying it is he's trying to drive Joshua away. He's trying to play at being, like, bad a bit. Like, he's like, it's almost like he's like, oh, Joshua knows I did the bad things, I'm going to play into that. Like, he's not saying, like, I'm sorry, like, I know Estelle almost got hurt, but, like, I had a bigger reason. He says, like, and I didn't care. Like, and I was fine. Like, it's kind
of bluster. It's like, because this is, if someone got this close, he would, like, yeah, I'm a dangerous mofo and you shouldn't get close to me. So when he does kind of get, like, checked by Joshua saying, I get it, I understand, he's like, oh, okay. So we're kind of, like, equals.
Yeah, and the thing Joshua gets at is that he's like, I'm still unbelievably grateful to you because of what you did for me getting Weissman's mind control. What you did.
Oh, yeah.
To help set that thing up in my brain to free me from it. I would be a puppet. I would have killed Estelle. I would, I'll never stop feeling like I owe you everything. Kevin's like, oh, come on. I only did that because it was a way to throw Weissman off. Like, I didn't care about you. And Josh was like, I don't care if you did it because you care about me or if you did it because it helped you kill Weissman. You did it, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, you did it, and it did help whether you meant it to or not. So, thanks.
And Josh was like, and Kevin's like, fuck, I don't know how to deal with the sincerity. I don't know how to deal with the fact that he won't stop being sincere at me.
CSI Josh, he'll get you every time.
And then Josh was like, okay, so Reese is saying on the sidelines, let me be your second in command for this chapter. Nobody's saying chapters, to be clear, but, like, we all know what they mean.
Yes, I will become your second required party member.
I can back you up. I'm useful. I have CSI skills.
Honestly, for me, I prefer his skill set to Reese's in the way that I play. Like,
yeah, I love him.
3 incredibly damaging S-crafts? Yes, please.
Yeah, his S-crafts are great. I like Reese a lot, though, but, yeah, I'm pretty happy to have either, honestly. I like his delaying crafts especially.
I'm just looking forward to the point where I can choose all 3 of my additional party members, because we haven't really had the chance so far.
Not really.
At this point, you're kind of released to go take on the next plane.
Yeah, I did roam the garden briefly, did you?
I did. I noticed there was some new books available.
I learned something.
Oh, what?
I learned that the reason that we both couldn't find all the books, apparently, when the books first come available, if you don't go read them then, they disappear.
Oh, really?
Apparently, that's what it is. The internet says so. And that tracks with, I didn't go read the liberal news when it showed up.
And it's not there?
And it's not there for me. And you said Carnelia is not there for you.
No, I think it is, because I did do a troll through the garden at one point just to check every bookshelf to see if anything showed up, because they don't all show up in the same area. So I definitely have Labelle New Steel. I have the new collection of books, which includes like the cat translation.
Of course, the most important book.
And then I feel like, is it right next door to that where Carnelia is? It's like the next bookshelf over?
Carnelia is the first one on the left. So it's the opposite.
Oh, then I don't have it, no.
So that's why we both are missing a collection because we didn't check them right away. Apparently, it's stupid.
Falcom.
This is gonna win the Why Would You Do That award for the year.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay. It makes sense that is why it is like that. It doesn't make sense that it was designed like that.
Why you would do that. Exactly.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, yeah. No, you've got a collection of books there. It's like the cat translation. There's a couple of others, but that's the only one I care about.
It's the books that were in the Zeiss Factory Library in FC.
Yes, because it was the two parts of that story and then like the 37 trees or whatever it's called.
The 31 cypress trees,
yeah.
The cat one, and the one about the bird that was hidden for a riddle.
Yes, that's right. Just the Zeiss library, which that's interesting because we haven't really, beyond that, had anything Zeissy happen so far this chapter. Because, like,
no,
the newspapers felt related because it was Grancel, that's where the newspaper is.
But the cat thing comes up.
It does, yeah, as one of the doors, but not in the greater story. Maybe in the second half of fourth chapter, I don't know.
I did check on what people were doing around the garden. All of the girls are around Reese sympathizing with her, which I just thought was fun. That, like, sometimes when all the girls are gathered doing one thing, there's a bit of a, come on, vibe. But this is so accurate that, like, one of the girls in the group is mad and, like, all the other girls have, like, run off to circle around her and be like, boo hiss at the guy who made her mad.
Yeah.
Like, I have been in that circle. And then I found Joshua talking to Jin, confirms that Estelle and he are abroad looking for someone specifically.
Yes, I think we pretty much got the direct hint on what that is at the end of second chapter.
Yeah.
They're looking for Ren.
Yeah, we figure that out. Oh, and there was also a great line from Mueller.
Oh.
He's talking about the fact that he and Olivia are both in the garden now, and he says that that's a relief. If that pitiful thing, in all caps, had been left in the outside world without me to watch it, I shudder to think what would have happened. And Joshua goes, I'd come to his defense, but no, I can't blame you. And Oliver's like, truly, I am offended. At the very worst, I would have thrown a luxurious banquet for all to enjoy.
I did have a conversation between Oliver and Mueller, but it was different because I had Oliver in my party at the time.
I did at that time, too. I think it's just that there's, like, 2 conversations throughout the chapter that they have.
Because, yeah, when I checked in him a little bit later in the runtime, Mueller was sitting on that, like, one bench that's down at the very bottom right of the area, like, past where the Labelle News is meant to be.
Right, that was later, yeah.
He was just sitting on a bench by himself, and he's like, Oliver, I need to talk to you later. And Oliver was like, oh my god, are you going to confess your love to me? It's, like, finally too much to hold the message inside. And he's like, no. I want to check that you're okay because we've been through a traumatic experience. So just check in with me later.
Did you take Oliver out of the party at that point? Because if you take him out of your party, then he's there and they have the conversation.
No, I didn't. I will have to do that when I get back in.
Basically, the conversation comes to, I don't think the Chancellor could be behind this. Do you think the Chancellor could be behind this? And Mueller's like, no, if the Chancellor was planning to outright harm you, he would have done it by now. He had opportunities. Which confirms the Chancellor of Erebonia is someone they think would be capable of something like this. They just don't think it's his MO, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I also had a convo between Chloe and Olivier at the time where they're just kind of like catching up on like their royalty stuff. They're both calling each other Your Highness, both at each other, which is fun because nobody else bothers to call him Your Highness, but I guess Chloe like has to see him at official functions and stuff, so needs to like keep the practice up.
I suppose, yeah.
And he's like, oh, I've been pretending to be like a totally above board prince guy. It's really exhausting. So I'm biding my time and waiting for the perfect chance to cast it aside and reveal my true form to the world. And then in larger letters, then all shall know Olivier, the Gospeler of Love.
The Gospeler. Nobody
is impressed with that title. And Joshua's like, who thinks he's going to be even more of a menace to society than the Black Orbit Gospels ever were?
I do miss his old costume. I miss his hair down, which I didn't think would really matter that much to me.
Yeah, it is a little sad.
His little, like, foppish haircut is very cute.
I do like the red on him, though.
I hope third gets remade, and it does look good, but
But the hair.
I was thinking that as I was playing, it's like, man, I hope when third gets remade that I get the option to like do costume swaps. Like, I would love to put him back in his old fit.
I'm sure we will.
You know what I would actually love? You know how they've done like color flips in first chapter where like an alternate color is like two of the party members swapped?
Yeah.
Like Shera and Jin get swapped and Tita and Agate get swapped in remake and stuff. I would love to just see like palette swaps versions of his two costumes. So like
like a red version of the Bard outfit. Yeah, that'd be so fun.
The royal regalia in like his blue and white, and then the blue and white coat in his royal colors. I think the blue and white coat in the royal style would look so sick.
Yeah, I love that idea.
But not an option here. Was there anyone else of interesting to chat? I didn't do much of a lap around the garden at this point.
That was really it. I mean, Julia's just talking about like, we figure out who's responsible for this place. Like, nothing really interesting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So after that, I made my way back to the end of the third plane.
Yes.
Because you can go into the fourth, and there's a chest right next to it, which you open it up, and it is entrance exam results.
That sounds like it might be proof of someone's scholarship.
Proof of scholarship, yeah. The description, I checked it because I didn't fully take an entrance exam, because that's not a thing we have. I thought it was like her graduation results. Like, she's graduating from the school so she can go be full-time princess. But it's actually like her entrance exams to join Janus Royal Academy as a transfer student.
Yeah. Which, as we'll soon find out, is way harder than joining as, like, a regular student at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, why?
It's May. It's a month into the Japanese school year. Why is the exam so much harder if you join a month late?
Yeah, why is the exam harder for transfer students than just, like, straight applicants? Like, you're going to the same curriculum. Why is it harder?
And transfer students in the same year. Like, if you're transferring in for your second year, obviously it would be harder than what a first year's take, like, if they're trying to evaluate that you're, like, at that level. But you're a month late for class. How much did they learn in that first month that you think they need to have a harder test? Anyway, we go to the door.
With the entrance exam results in hand, we can make our way back to Moon Door 3 to have a little adventure with Chloe. So I made my way there first.
Me too.
Because I knew Moon Door, long.
And this sure is long.
Moon Door, M for massive. So we step into the door as Chloe and find ourselves arriving at Janus Academy in the springtime.
Yeah.
In May. She's arriving to join the school later than everybody else, and obviously very nervous, but she's in a uniform already, so she's in disguise. And as she walks in, we pan across to see on the rooftop of the clubhouse at the school, an unknown red-headed man in a Janus Academy uniform is just reclining and enjoying the sunshine.
Just chilling, like a cat.
And he seems a little surprised and excited to see someone new. He's just laying up there and goes, oh-ho, which is one word that really, like, nails down a character. Like, he's
Yes.
a rascal.
Mischievous.
Rascal? No, he's a rascal. I'm going to say it in the correct pronunciation because we don't say rascal.
You don't say rascal.
We do not.
A ruffian.
So yeah, we get a little bit of a like montage of Chloe here. We get an idea of what she was like when she first arrived at the school. She's a lot more subdued. She's hyper polite.
So polite, yeah.
And is so worried about like inconveniencing anyone.
And she has this internal monologue like, I'd had enough of being restricted. I'd had enough of following the rails. I had all this resolve. And then you see her be like the most uncomfortably polite person you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
It's like she's giving court formalities, like international diplomacy polite.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like in her nervousness, she's like falling back on her princess training to just be eloquent, etiquette forward, inobtrusive.
Yeah.
But she comes into the school, she is joining the social studies track, because as we know, at Janus Academy, you study one thing and nothing else.
One thing. I like how it's a real mix of like university majors and like high school. Like they kind of want a best of both worlds.
Yeah. So she joins a class and they're like, hey, do you want to introduce yourself? And she gives the most self-serious speech about her, like, I am going to strive to do this school proud and make it better and not get in anyone's way and be the best student ever. I'm sorry that I am weak-willed and a baby and I might make life worse for you. Please excuse me. Thank you for having me.
No one knows how to deal with it. This poor girl. Court life has damaged this poor girl. It makes you really appreciate the Chloe we know and love. Like, she's come a really long way.
Yeah, it's a very stark contrast. My favorite thing in this little introduction, though, like, she gets introduced into the class, like, clap, 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 I guess. And then someone asks, like, hey, we want to get to know you. Do you have any hobbies? And Chloe thinks for a second and says, no.
No. I have no interest.
Wait, really? Just like, I've been thinking about it for a second now, and no, I have no hobbies. But then in her head, she's like, I do like cooking sweets, but I don't think I do that often enough to count as a hobby. This girl, she's so, like, protocol focused. She's like, the requirement for a hobby is you must do it X number of times a week, I guess. We sort of move on from that. 2 weeks later.
Oh, and we do see a wild Jill in the class who is very curious about this transfer student. And it's nice to see Jill. It makes you happy because we love Jill.
You've got all the students that we're familiar with. They're unnamed because Chloe doesn't know them yet. So you've got Jill, you've got Hans.
Logic.
Mickey and the others, I think, mixed in there. But there's also some unfamiliar students that I really enjoyed because she's in her second or third year when we meet her, right?
Yeah. Plus, this is a joint class, I think. Like, they have one class that is, like, shared between years.
Yeah, so we have some students who are, like, third years at this moment in time who would have left the school by the time we met everyone in second chapter. So it's nice to have them peppered in as like, I don't recognize that name. Who is Rigel? We didn't have a Rigel last time.
Well, we do recognize two of the upperclassmen.
We do.
We learned that everyone is obsessed with her, by the way.
Yeah.
We do get the info that, like, everyone is just gossiping about the new transfer student because she's, like, so weird and enigmatic. It's a miracle no one figured out she's a mysterious princess because, people, that rumor would have been spread.
Yeah, people were trying to figure it out, yeah. Because she does even disclose in her intro, they're like, where are you from? And she's like, Grand Cell? Which, that can still work. But yeah, 2 weeks later, everyone's leaving the social studies class after either a class or a test or something. And one of the students we see walking out complaining about how hard the class is someone named Anton.
Someone named Anton.
I did have a moment there I was like, shit, was there an Anton? Like a separate Anton? I don't know.
He joins and walks up to a blonde-haired boy and chats with him. We don't learn his name yet, but we do see it.
Interesting.
So this is a tentative Loverboy and Liberal entry.
But back in the classroom, got a couple of students sort of dragging their heels, including Chloe, where Ms. Wiola, one of the teachers we know and love with the weirdest name ever, she's like, oh shit, I forgot to hand out these printouts as she runs back into the room. And she's like, Chloe, you seem meek. Do it for me. And just hands off these printouts. It's like, hey, just go give these to everyone in the social studies class. So the majority of this mission is finding them all. You get to go run around the school.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. You don't have a key item because you can't access your items to say who you're looking for. Like, I kind of like it because it is kind of diegetic in that you are wandering around unsure of who these people are because Chloe is unsure of who they are.
Yeah.
Basically, the intent is that you should just walk up to everyone and say, are you in my class? Here's a printout.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because there's like two students directly outside the classroom on the second floor of the schoolhouse where you walk up to them and you can talk to them. It's, I forget the names, but it's like the noble girl and then the servant girl who's her friend.
Felicity and Raina or something.
That sounds familiar, yeah. She talks to her and is like, hey, sorry, are you in my social studies class? And she's like, no, I'm natural sciences. You're the new student, right? And she's like, yes, I'm terribly sorry to have inconvenienced you in this moment by asking you a question. I will go forever. Bye. And she's like, oh, okay. The consistent thing from every student she tracks down from the class, she hands them the thing. It's very politely. She's like, hey, Ms. Riola asked me to give you this. It's their like credit list for the different classes they can take.
Yeah.
Every single person just wants to have a chat with her. It's like, oh, you're the new student. How are you finding it?
They're all friendly.
I want to know more about you. I want to be friends. And every time she's like, oh, I don't want to inconvenience you. You're busy. Goodbye. And just leaves. The number of characters who are just like, that girl's weird.
Yeah.
She's like too polite.
In the auditorium, I ran into someone whose name I don't remember.
That's Rigel, yep.
Rigel, that is Rigel. And he's head of the fencing club. And we know by the time we meet her, she's in the fencing club. But here, she doesn't join, but she thinks, oh, this reminds me of how Julia and I would train in fencing. Like, and it's just a sweet touch. You see her wanting to participate. You see her longing to, like, join in, and she can't make herself.
And everyone is so welcoming and accommodating. Like, yeah. Rigel, he's like, we've got fencing practice for the fencing club. Are you interested in joining? Do you want to sit and watch? You're more than welcome. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
In her head is like, I love fencing. And then says no, because she's like, yeah. I don't want to be a burden on someone by joining their club, I guess.
Yeah.
You go around, find all the students.
We get confirmation of the Anton.
Yes.
Anton's out of the old schoolhouse, and we confirm it's Anton and Ricky.
Yeah.
So now it's officially Keeping Up with the Casanova, Loverboy and the Girl.
We also find out in this moment that Anton is repeating the third year.
Yeah, which is the final year.
If he and Ricky are friends, assuming that means they're both third years, which means originally Ricky was a year below him.
Yeah.
He stayed back. He's like the older friend. Then they assumably graduated together. And he dragged him on this like Liberal-wide tour to find love because I guess social studies didn't work out for him.
Well, he didn't learn how to socialize in the social studies. I will read a little of his poetry just because that's a bit by now that he just goes, well, why are we here? Spring has come, and yet in my heart it's still the middle of winter. And then he just turns to Chloe and goes, I wish I was smart like you. And then rants about his whole ungraduation thing. But he's always been Anton. We learned from Ricky's like, he shouldn't have joined social studies. That's a problem. He's not built for that kind of work. He shouldn't be in a class where he has to memorize so much. I'm like, hang on.
Yeah.
Natural sciences, I'm sure there's a lot of memorization in that. And I don't remember what the other class is, but it's something else. Economics, maybe? It's
like economics and the gym, I think, yeah.
Unless he was in phys ed or whatever, like, he's gonna have to memorize a lot. And I don't think Anton's a jock. I don't think he's much of a jock.
No.
I think we saw him once walk up some stairs and lie on the floor for the rest of the day.
I mean, I think joining Mr. Effort's class for phys ed would be like the best of a bad bunch for Anton. But he is lamenting, he's like, I should have never come to Janice. And it's kind of like, yeah, maybe.
How'd you get in?
How did you get in? How did you get through the entrance exams? He mustn't have been a transfer student, that's for sure. Who else was there? Oh, Logic is another one of the students you've got to find. He's in the boys' dorm, freaking out about the exams. He's getting one of the older students, Dennis, to collect a bunch of reference books that he can use to study. And I really like you can go upstairs and talk to Dennis as well. And he's like, hey, I'm getting these books together for Logic. He's really intensely wanting to make sure that he graduates.
Didn't we have a side quest in FC to find these reference books or something for him? I feel like there was a side quest related with...
There was a side quest to find books for him, tracking down like missing library books because he wanted to read them or something like that, right?
Or maybe it was library books. I was thinking it was these books.
So he's always like hunting for books, but his little comment to Chloe is like, hey, you're a transfer student. Are you studying for the exams? You have to do your absolute best. I demand it.
She's like, well, of course I...
And she's kind of taken aback. It feels like the first crack in the veneer for her where she's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Gambate. And it's just like, he's like matching his energy a little bit because like...
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah, it seems like she's been walking around the school avoiding socializing and only studying. So she's almost found a kindred spirit in this weird child.
Logic.
It's like, yeah, I'll try my best. Goodbye forever. I have to leave. I don't want to inconvenience you again.
Part of me thinks that part of her thing about I don't want to inconvenience you is also her not wanting to get found out as the princess, and so like keeping people at arm's length in that regards. But then she doesn't bring that up in at all in the chapter as like being afraid that they'll figure her out.
Yeah.
It's interesting that as far as we can tell, she's just really like does not know how to socialize at all, which makes sense because has she ever met someone her age before?
Other than like people who work at the castle, maybe. Yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe like the kids of other heads of state in like official visits where everyone's wearing a big dress and is like, let's sit next to each other on a couch while our parents take pictures together. Like, I don't know if she's ever had a peer interaction that's not that.
Probably not. I mean, yeah, other than like younger maids, I don't think she would have had much exposure, especially being like locked up in the villa so much.
Oh, we do, entering the clubhouse, get a little cutscene before finding anyone. We see the student council discussing the fact that they need to track someone down. We meet two student council members who have graduated by the time we were at Janice. We meet Lucy Sayland, who's very pretty, and everyone comments on her being very pretty, and Leo, who's very stoic.
They're all trying to track down a member of the student council who's missing. Jill and Hans kind of say to Chloe, hey, you need to hand out these printouts, and we need to track down this guy, so we're going to be traveling all over campus anyway. Why don't we team up and we can work together? And Chloe, once again, apologizes for existing.
Yeah.
And goes off on her way, and as she leaves, Jill's kind of commenting, is like, we are roommates, and even then, I can't crack her shell. We say good morning and good evening, and that's about it.
And Jill clearly, she's like, I want to talk to her normally. Like, I want to befriend her and get to know her. I can't figure out how. She, like, rebuffs everything with her polite shell.
Yeah, walls up.
If you go up to the student council room at this point,
yep.
Leo will say, that fool is highly dangerous. If you sight him, don't attempt to approach him. Inform us at once. Which Chloe has no context for.
No one said the guy's name yet, either.
It's like there's a dangerous criminal on campus.
The thing I like, though, is that if you go talk to Lucy, the first thing that happens is Chloe blushes and gets flustered and says, oh my god, she's so pretty.
Yes! She's so pretty.
Come on. Just wave that lesbian flag already, Chloe.
Yeah.
crushing on the student council president, and she's not the only one because Hans is also deeply crushing on Lucy.
Yeah. After we've found people, we do get a little internal monologue from her that suggests that part of her pushing everyone away is this idea that, like, in order for her to grow as a person, she has to be independent and do it all by herself. It doesn't say that outright, but it kind of suggests that might be part of... Like, she's clearly got a number of things going on psychologically.
Yeah. Her drive is like, I don't want to rely on others. I want to be self-sufficient. But self-sufficient people have friends.
Yeah, and she doesn't seem to regret that.
The only other thing I want to mention was there was a non-social studies student, Caden, standing in the gardens out front of the school.
Oh, yeah?
And I just noticed it because he mentioned that the year before, there had been a fountain at the school.
Right, yeah.
Like, Middle Ages ruin, really ancient, and it was removed for some reason.
Yeah.
Because, like, normally we're very reverential of Middle Ages ruins and stuff from post-collapse and all that. But it was just kind of removed. I just took a note because, like, that feels like it's something important that may be relevant at some point.
May come up. We'll have to keep an eye out for it.
But once you've handed out all the printouts...
This is when she walks out onto the stairs. She's like, oh, I forgot her printout. She goes to fetch it. On the way out, she hears some people talking about her. We don't hear anything bad they say. She just hears that they are talking about her.
Yeah.
And she kind of freaks out and runs out of the schoolhouse and then sits on the stairs outside. And the red-haired boy from earlier walks along. As she's sighing to herself.
And he's teasing her a little bit, poking fun at her, because he's kind of quietly trying to get her to open up.
Yeah.
All we know about Mysterious Boy is that he's kind of avoidant of his duties and just makes life worse for everyone else. But he's, like, locked in. He's like, you need to open up and, like, engage with others to be happy.
And we do learn a name. Lecter.
Lecter? And he starts off trying to tease her out of her shell by, like, asking her questions and stuff, like, how are you finding the school? And then just straight up teases her. And he's, like, laying down on the stairs as he was laying on the roof. And she's, like, stood up to sort of leave. And he's like, well, just so you know, view's great from down here.
Yeah.
She's like, how fucking dare you stare up my skirt, you little freak? And just charges off.
When he's getting at her, like, trying to get her to open up, he does ask her a question that's going to come back to her, where she's like, oh, yeah, well, there's academic excellence here, and I'll work hard on my whatever. And he's like, is that what you came here to do, though? To do your academic excellence? And she doesn't quite understand what he means yet. She will later.
After getting teased away by Lecter, we cut to a few days later, where once again, the student council members, Jill and Hans, are trying to hunt down Lecter, who I think at this point they confirm is the student council president. Yeah. They're trying to hunt him down. They try to catch him on the roof.
Their creed on their front door is that their number one rule is to always have eyes on the student president.
Yep. How did he get that position in the first place? That's crazy.
And I love that Jill and Hans, as the, like, first year, like, rookies of student council, their whole job is just to track him down.
Pretty much, yeah. They come across Chloe on the school grounds. It's like, hey, have you seen Lecter? Because obviously she knows who he is now. And she's like, I haven't, but I know someone who could help. Sieg! And summons her bird, which blows their fucking minds.
It's so good.
Because he flies down, she has a full conversation with him, and then he leaves.
What's amazing is they don't think she's lost her marbles. They don't go, oh, that's what's going on with the new girl, why she's weird. She thinks she talks to animals. Like, no, they're like, oh my gosh, she really talks to a bird. Even though Sieg does not find Lecter for them. Like, it's one thing if Sieg found Lecter and they're like, oh my god, she actually could understand him. But no, she just is like, oh, you don't know where he is? Oh, well, thank you for looking, Sieg. I guess you lost track of him. And, like, they're like, oh my god, bird telepathy.
Yeah, it's great. They all team up to hunt down Hans. You sort of track him down at a couple different spots around the school. First one, you find him in the auditorium, where he is reading the cat translation book.
Yeah!
He does have a few lines, but I think the one in the middle, either I wrote it down wrong or it's not one of the phrases. Because he says, Nyago, which is, it's been a while, how have you been? And then Nyan, which I couldn't find.
I think he's trying to speak it, but he's learning it, so he's not getting it right.
He's not fluent. And then he says unyanyan, which is an expression of delight. So he's like, hi, how are you? It's been a while. Flip, blorp, dip, 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 dip. Haha, I'm happy.
Well, he's enjoying the reaction, I'm pretty sure. What's interesting, too, is that we'll have these really cute school scenes, and then we'll go to Chloe's internal monologue, and it's the most emo shit you've ever read.
Yeah.
She's like, I kept running through the empty void of life. Like, it's so incongruous in a way that's kind of delightful.
Yeah. Cut to a bit later, Chloe's been, like, helping out the student council more. Unofficially, she hasn't joined.
She does join the fencing club.
She joins the fencing club, and she goes on several Lecter hunts.
Like, she's making friends, she's coming out of her shell. It's nice. And it's exam season now.
Everyone's stressed.
Lecter is, like, refusing to study, and Lucy just, like, hits him and then drags him out of the room to go study, which I like that, like, you learn everything you need to know about their relationship in that moment.
Yeah. Later on, after a council meeting, Lecter basically passes his work off to Chloe. He's like, hey, go deliver this letter to Rowan's mayor for me. Pretends to, like, brush a feather off her hair to fluster her, and then just trots off.
Yep.
You have to head to Rowan, which means you need to get permission to get out of the school. You have to go find the dean. I actually did a little bit of a wander at this point, and over near the old schoolhouse, I found Mr. Effort,
Okay.
who is on the hunt for Lecter as well.
Oh my.
He's like, I saw Lecter come this way and now he's not here. Where did he go? And it turns out if you go into the main schoolhouse, he's actually standing at reception chatting to like a foreign dignitary or a rich guy or something. He's in a top hat. And he's like putting on his like full friendly facade. He's like, I would be absolutely delighted to give you a tour of the school. You don't get a name or any more info from this man, just that he's, the receptionist says, like, it's really common for, like, nobles and dignitaries and, like, important people to come and visit the school.
I think they mention, when I saw him later, that he's, like, thinking of sending his kid here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we get permission to leave the school from the dean. You go to deliver the letter in Rouen. The bridge is up, so you can't go across. At which point, she notices Lecter in Rouen.
Who just said, I want you to go into the city for me.
Because I'm busy.
And yet here he is.
Going into the casino.
I just remembered something that we forgot to mention. When he brushes the feather off Chloe's head, he also implies that he understands Sieg. And nobody really mentions that. But he's like, Sieg did mention he was going to molt soon.
Yeah.
Could be fucking with her, but if it's not, like, it's interesting note.
Yeah, everyone's like, blah, blah, blah. Hang on, you understand Sieg? And he's like, haha, bye. And just leaves. So she goes in and says, hey, Lecter, we're not allowed to gamble. We're students. Stop it. And he's like, I'm almost there. He's winning a bunch of money. Well, I just had the bridge go ding, ding, ding. So I've got to go deliver this letter to the mayor. But stay right here. I'm going to grab you by the ear and drag you back to school when I'm done.
She, like, says to herself, like, maybe I should ask the dean if he really is student council president and this isn't some elaborate prank. Like, I'm really not sure it's true. She goes off to the manor. And the mayor's not there, but someone better is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's Trails to Trails boss fight of the year, Gilbert, in his little Stuart, in his sexy Terry Gilbert outfit.
Oh, he's back. And he's behaving a lot more calmly and politely than we're used to seeing.
Eloquent young man.
He's like, oh, yeah, mayor's not here. I'll take the letter.
And he talks a lot about how he was a graduate of Janus Academy and he worked on the student council and, oh, it's such a fine organization. And Chloe's like,
yeah, right.
Is it? He's like, well, let me know if you ever need help from me. I am happy to guide these youth. He probably graduated last year.
Probably, yeah. So that's done and dusted. We leave. On the way back to the school,
we stop at the casino.
After stopping at the casino to try and get Lecter, who has already left.
And he's a regular, we learned. This isn't a one-time thing. He's always here.
Always gambling. But yeah, on the way back to Janus, Chloe runs into Clem, one of the orphans from Mercia Orphanage, who's like lost something. It's like a shiny rock. She helps him find it. And then she's like, hey, I will escort you home. He's like, fuck you, I do what I want. And he's like, well, I'm lost. Can you take me there to help me find my way home?
And he falls for it.
And he's like, oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he wants to be a chivalrous gentleman.
So she follows him home, not realizing that he is from the orphanage, which she has previously been to.
Yep.
And has been avoiding because she doesn't want to, like, again, lean on the people she's leaned on before. She wants to be her own woman and go out there. So she's just avoided coming back to a place she loved.
Being Chloe, she says this in the most emo way possible. And she's like, I didn't want to give in to my own shameful weakness. It's like, you know what? She has to be 15 here. It's very 15-year-old dramatics.
That's true, yeah. She gets to re-meet the matron and has a little bit of a cry and gives her a big hug.
Yeah.
And then gets over herself, and we find out that from this point on, she starts regularly returning to the orphanage to help out and, like, spend time with the kids and everything.
To the point where she's not spending time with the new friends the way she was, like, before this, and they're noticing.
Yeah, because she gets back to school one night after curfew, because she's been at the orphanage for so long, where Jill is waiting in the dark in their room just saying, and what time do you call this?
Yeah, it's great.
Is convinced that she's got a boy toy somewhere out in the Rouen region that she's been visiting. She's like, no, it's not that. I've been going to help out at the orphanage. I love it there. Like, it's great. It makes me feel really good.
And Jill makes
a stupid comment.
She's like, you're such a perfect good girl. Of course you're helping the poor little orphans, right? Like, it's stupid, but it's also what you would expect a teenager to say when they find out that their friend is not only a perfect student, but spends their free time helping the orphans. Like, it's what you say.
And she kind of arcs up again. She's like, don't call them poor little orphans. How dare you? And I'm not a good girl. I'm not a good girl. Please excuse me. Which is very funny. I'm not prim and proper and polite. Please excuse me. I must depart. Thank you for your time. At which point we cut to Chloe back out on the front steps of the school with a cool camera angle. I really liked it.
This whole arc we're about to see is Chloe going, I'm a bad, bad girl who needs to be punished.
But yeah, she's back thinking her thoughts on the front steps of the school with a very cool camera angle. We get sort of this interesting sort of dynamic shot.
Yes, we get a few of these in this moon door.
It just kind of like creates a sense of scale more in the front gardens of the school, which I really like. Lecter shows up to help/harm. Like, see she's mad, tries to find out why.
And Chloe's not really sure.
Yeah, she's not sure. I'm just mad. I'm mad. It's like, well, you clearly don't understand why you're mad. And she gets mad about this as well.
She claims it's like on behalf of the orphans, like being pitied, but it's clear that there's more to it. And Lecter gives some really good advice, which is that, like, if you can't actually figure out why you're mad, you're just going to keep going in circles. You're just going to keep getting knotted up and get spiral further, which is, like, very true. When you're mad and you don't really know why, it's just going to get worse until you figure out why.
Yeah, and literally in the conversation, he's like, yeah, but why are you actually mad? And she just repeats herself. Like, she says the same reasons, but in a different order, I think. And it's like, no, this conversation isn't moving forward. So you need to figure that out.
We also get a scene of Jill and Hans in Hans's room, because Jill goes over to Hans's room.
Oh, yes.
And it's before the lecture scene, I think. Basically, she's really upset by this fight, and she's like, we learn a little more from Jill, which is that Jill has before lost friendships because she made a joke or said something insensitive that hurt the other person, and she didn't like think first, and she she really cares about her friendship with Chloe and really doesn't want it to go this way, but she's really stressed about it.
Yeah, it seems to be a common thing. Like, even like after this conversation, when she's left, Hans is like, man, I hope she really figures it out this time, because clearly this has been a recurring pattern of Jill speaking before she thinks.
So I had her stay, because you get the option of her to leave or stay, and I just clicked stay because it was the top one. Mm-hmm. And she falls asleep in Hans's room, and Leo, who's Hans's roommate, walks in and is like, I don't care what put us in this situation, but we will be sleeping outside tonight.
I chose to leave instead. Which
is a good idea for Hans' sake.
Yeah, like, because she's like, man, can I stay here tonight? I don't want to go back to the room and be awkward with Chloe. And he's like, denied. No, you need to go back. You need to deal with this. You should go. Yeah. She's like sitting on his bed at the time. If you say leave, though, she jumps up and she's like, okay, bye, and just leaves. And then Hans is like, oh, okay, well, I hope she figures it out this time. And then Leo comes in and he's like, I just saw Jill leave crying. What's going on? He's like, it's not my fault. And then he kind of turns and looks at the bed she was sitting on with like a ... speech bubble. Oh. And so I guess the implication is that he can see like the imprint of someone having been sat on there.
Yeah.
And then just turns to Hans and is like, and he's like, eh.
You had a girl in your bed and then she left crying. This does not look good for you.
Yeah, you didn't do a good job.
But then we go to Mercy Orphanage the next day, because it's daytime now. And Jill is kind of creeping up to it. And she's like, okay. She's like, I'm not going. I just need to scope out the place. I shouldn't have made fun of the kids without knowing anything about them. So I'm going to come and get to know the kids and get to know the place. And then I'll apologize and have corrected the error of my ways by learning about the thing that I spoke insensitively about.
Yeah.
And she walks up to the door and is like just scoping it out. And lo and behold, Chloe just opens the door.
Because she has come like first thing in the morning. Like, it is very early when she arrives.
Yeah. And like clearly Chloe went here overnight, it looks like to me. Like, she didn't go back to her room that night.
Which is interesting that they don't sort of have Jill mention that Chloe never came home to the room.
Yeah.
They go inside, they sit down to have tea and chat, and Jill just kind of like puts out more apologies, and eventually Chloe kind of lets her in a little bit. I lost both my parents. There was a time when I lived here, and so that's why I love being here so much, to support people who need it. I've thought about it, and the reason I was so upset, I said it was about the orphans. Like, you said something cruel to the orphans and they don't deserve that, and that's why I was mad. But that's not it. It's the fact that I see myself in them. Like, I was one of these poor, unfortunate souls, and I don't want people to think about me that way.
I don't want to be pitied.
I don't want to be pitied. I don't want to be looked down on. And so you sort of so cavalierly saying that about the kids hit me and really like got my goat.
And also what she really gets at is like, when I hear orphans being othered, that makes me, because her big thing that she's like, I feel all this angst that I'm never going to really be part of a family.
Yeah.
That I don't really get to have the same friendships and relationships that other people who parents didn't die have. And so hearing orphans get othered and treated like they're not also part of a family and all this stuff.
She's like, okay, well, I appreciate you coming here to make amends. Would you like to meet the orphans? This is the weird part.
I assumed she meant talk to them.
Yeah. Do you want to meet the orphans? And so she's like, yeah, absolutely. So what they do is they go into the orphans' bedroom while they're all asleep. And she's like, here are the orphans.
She's not like, wake up, I have a friend for you to meet.
Yeah.
She's like, look at them.
She's like, look at these orphans. And what's the little baby one's name?
Polly?
Polly. Polly's like talking in her sleep or something. And she's like, oh my God, she's so cute. Like she sneezes. And Jill pulls up her blanket and she's like, it was nice to meet these orphans, thank you. And then they leave the room. Which is so weird.
It is very weird.
It's like, would you like to stare at some unfamiliar children? No. I don't think the matron would have been into this. But maybe that was the next room. They went, would you like to meet the matron? And they just walk into her room and she's sleeping in bed next to her 2 cuck chairs.
It's amazing. I love, so you get this little like outro conversation thing, like that's not shown with them on the screen, but as they're walking, and basically they're like, you know, even though like obviously I don't like fighting with you, I'm really glad it led to us opening up to each other and like you letting your guard down and all that stuff. And then you got a few lines where Chloe kind of has this moment of realization where she's like, I think this is what it's like to really grasp what's important to you. All this time I've been debating with myself, like, no, I shouldn't go to the orphanage because I need to stand on my own. Or, oh, I need to, but like, this is my family, this is my home. Having a family and home to depend on is not the same thing as being completely dependent on others. And like, I was overthinking it, which is the conclusion of a lot of things when you're 15. Oftentimes the answer is I was overthinking it.
Yeah. That's nice. We've sort of tied a bow on this dispute between Jill and Chloe. They're able to become closer friends. So assumably they have slightly longer conversations in the dorm room.
But the moon door's not over yet.
But yes, we're not done. Once more, there's a Lecter to be chased down in court. It seems like everyone's confused about how he gets on and off the roof so easily. You eventually have to sort of make your way up onto the roof using the very obvious rope that's hanging off the back of the building.
Yeah. But it doesn't work at first because you have to go to the boys' dormitory first or something.
Yeah.
I do like that Jill and Chloe plan like a pincer attack to try and get Lecter. It fails. Oh no, you go to the auditorium and you find Mickey.
Oh, yeah. Mickey was maybe chasing after him at some point because he saw like a suspicious, rough-looking person, which everyone decides means Lecter.
Yep.
Sneaking around, and then he dove underneath the side stage in the auditorium.
Yep.
So they drag him out by the ankles, thinking it's Lecter having a nap or something. And he's like, no, I was following someone else and then I got stuck. It's like, okay. Because it's Mickey. Like, it would be no surprise to have him climb under the stage and take a nap.
Then, so Jill stays to lecture him and yell at him for a while. Then if you go to the boys' dormitory, Hans is with Lucy. And he's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And he's trying to get it going on with her. He's like, the most important thing in the world is love, don't you think? And she's like, no, I think it's strength.
Yeah.
And she's like, that makes me want to smack Lecter.
He's like, you can smack me if you want.
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't say it. He just thinks it, and therefore doesn't go anywhere. Chloe's not part of this. Like, the scene ends before she enters, but we needed her to witness it before she could find Lecter. If you go up to the roof beforehand, Lecter's not there.
Yeah. And I do love that after that little scene, the two of them are just sort of standing there in the entrance of the boys' dorm, kind of spinning back and forth as though they're still looking for Lecter.
Yeah.
But you make your way back to the council room where the rope is hanging outside the window. You climb up on the roof and corner Lecter, who doesn't really make an attempt to get away this time. So it seems like he's okay with chatting with Chloe. Because she's by herself.
Chloe has something to say. She wants to thank him. She's like, in retrospect, you were pushing me to get out of my shell this whole time. And I really appreciate it. And I can see what you've done. And Lecter plays dumb. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Chloe's like, no, but I remember what you asked me that first time when he said, is that what you really came here to do? And you were right. I hated my life before I came here. I felt like I had no say in my life. Like I was just pushed around and never did anything for myself or had anything like that. I felt like empty, and now my life doesn't feel empty at all. And I'm so grateful to that. And you really pushed me to start realizing that.
Yeah. And then she grabs him by the ear and drags him back into the building, full Lucy style, because she has overcome whatever, like, I'm so sorry for offending you by breathing nearby stuff, and is just going to physically assault this man.
She will inconvenience him deliberately.
Yeah. So it drags him off, and then we cut to some more sort of black screen text where we learn that shortly after this, after the school festival, Lecter vanished. He left the school.
He withdrew and was never seen there again. But he did crash the student play and ruin it, and then disappeared.
For his own amusement. And then the final note is that Chloe was surprised 2 years after this to meet Lecter again in an unexpected place. And that's all we hear.
That sounds like there's another door of some kind.
Who is this Lecter person and why is he so important? But that brings us to the end of Moondor 3, finally.
Yeah, so what did you think of this Moondor?
I really enjoyed it. Like, I liked learning more about Chloe.
Yep.
It was kind of very lighthearted. Like, she's having a terrible time, obviously. But the whole story is kind of taught very lightly. Like, she's deep in her feelings and everyone's just like, that girl's a bit odd. I wish she would be friends with me.
Yeah.
Plus, we get to meet Lecter, who's a fun character.
Mm-hmm.
We see some other faces who assumably we'll see again because they have profile art.
Yeah.
Such as Lucy and Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a nice kind of expansion on a character we know to learn how they got to where they are and how that was influenced by the people around them and the relationships they make, because the true legend of heroes is friendship.
Yeah. I don't know why I said it like that voice, but yes, I agree. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's our second Moondor, and it's much better than the first Moondor.
Yes, still very long.
Yes.
But only as long as you need it to be, because a lot of it is running around like catching up with people you don't actually have to catch up with. So if you were going on a guide or something that told you exactly where to go, you could knock this out a bit quicker.
Well, I only went where I needed to go, and it still took me an hour. Like, I didn't... I talked to a few people, but I was pretty streamlined about it. I think I explored less, and it's still pretty long. Luckily, there's only 5 Moondoors. Well, one of them is a 2-part Moondor, so arguably there's 6.
Right, yeah. We'll come back to part 2 of that one eventually, I'm sure. But for now, where would you rate Moondor 3, Descended Wings?
Out of 5, right?
Out of 5 moons, yes.
I guess 4, maybe?
4, yep.
What were you thinking? 4, 4.5?
I was going to say 3.5 initially, just because I felt it ran a bit long, but kind of reflecting on it, I'm more happy with how it turned out. So I think I'll bump it to a 4, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to have the same rating, but yeah, I think 4 makes sense to me.
Yeah, like, it was a good story. It had some issues just in terms of, like, if you weren't following a guide, this would take a lot longer than it needs to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a bit of a runaround.
Like, it's long. There's no part of it, like, story-wise that I don't like. It's just long.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of time chasing after Lecter over and over again on different days, which I know is meant to build a personality, but at the same time, it's, like, a little repetitive. So if there was a bit more variety or a bit more direction as to what we were doing, that would be great.
I think direction's a big part of it.
Which will come in a remake, but yeah. Moondor 3, 4 out of 5 moons. Congratulations, Chloe.
There we go. Now, I did the Jin Stardoor next. Stardoor 4. Stardoor 4. Stardoor 4.
Stardoor 4.
Stardoor 4. For the man with fists who punches things.
Mr. Punch. Wouldn't you know it, it's Jin Vathek, who has his own little story in this Stardoor.
Oh, a note about the Moondor that I just realized. Chloe didn't have to do a combat at the beginning of it. Tita had to do a battle before her Moondor.
Oh, yeah.
But Chloe didn't have to.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the rest of them are. We'll see. Anyway.
Yeah, as we open Stardoor 4, Jin is hanging out at the Grand Cell Guild branch, having a chat with Elnan, the receptionist, about his impending return to Calvard, which, for like the last game's worth of playtime, he's been talking about but not doing.
I feel like this is a really fast after the end of SC. Like, I don't think this is, like, it's been like 6 months or however long since SC ended. I think this is early in that.
It seems like, yeah.
Slept off the Oreo stuff. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, I'm thinking about going back to Calvard. Eldan says, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, tomorrow. I was initially going to go hang out with Kilika a bit before I went back, but she was like, no, if you've got time to spare, go back because the guild will need you. The conversation is then interrupted by a ring, ring, ring on the guild phone.
Yes.
Which is Ambassador Cochrane, the ambassador for Calvard, ringing up to see if Jin wants to go on a spa day.
Yeah, if you want to go on a hot spring vacation with me.
Yeah.
It sounds like workplace harassment.
It does a little bit. But Jin hears the phrase hot spring and like rushes the phone.
Yeah. Like as it fades to black, he's running at the phone.
Because let's not forget that we met him on his way back from Elmo Springs in the first place, back in FC.
Oh, yeah.
2 days later, we find that he's arriving at Elmo Village, not by himself, but with Kilika.
Yeah, not with Cochrane either.
Cochrane's not there yet, and it turns out that after the fact it was revealed that mostly the spa day at Elmo was about having a meeting with Kilika, and he was just also there.
Yeah.
So maybe he was like a means to an end to get Kilika to come. Then Cochrane walks up and says, "Hey, thanks for making it, guys." She hits on Jin briefly, saying like, "If I was 20 years younger, I'd be all over you, you big hunk of spunk." And is that too Australian?
Well, I mean, spunk means in Australia what it means here, right?
It means two things. It means chutzpah or come. Not to put too fine a point on.
In that context, I think the latter is clearly what.
Yes, Jin, you're a large pile of sperm. Gross.
Unfortunately, we can't name the title. We can't name the episode that. I
We
wish
cannot.
could, but we really cannot.
That'll be the secret title, yeah.
But we cut to they're having wine at the restaurant. It looks like
Only the girls have wine, and
Cochrane has 2 glasses. She has what Jin has and a glass of wine. Baller.
I initially read it that they were water glasses and then the girls were also drinking wine. So Kilika's drinking. Cochrane is like pacing herself with water, and Jin is just sitting off to the side saying, "I've had enough."
I assumed it was like liqueur of some kind.
I feel like as a hot spring connoisseur, he wouldn't want to drink before getting in the baths because he would dehydrate himself.
True.
And, you know, they all talk about was like a fruit milk is the best thing to have afterwards or whatever.
Right. Jin loves booze, but he is always drinking out of his flask, like, thing that
True.
he carries around after battles, so he may have had too much today just from, like, fighting his way to town.
It's probably good, yeah. They're having a bit of a chat, and it turns out that there's a new intelligence agency being spun up in Calvard,
Yeah.
as sort of spearheaded by the President Rocksmith, called the Rocksmith Agency.
Right?
Which is so self-centered. He's establishing it basically as an intelligence force that is not reporting to, like, the Parliament, because as we know, Calvard's Parliament is where progress goes to die.
Yeah.
So they report directly to the President. It's named after him. But does that mean that when he finishes his term as President, the next person has to also use the Rocksmith Agency? So he's just, like, leaving his indelible mark on the country?
I mean, you can't name it the Rocksmith Agency.
The Rocksmith Agency really makes it sound like they're going to obey him rather than the law. It's like saying, above the law, team.
Yeah. It's better to say it obeys the office of the president than it obeys this one specific guy.
And they say that, like, the reason they need this intelligence division is because things are in a constant state of unrest in Calvard at the moment.
And because Erebonia's intelligence division is really advanced.
Erebonia is pushing for expansion at the moment, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that back in Calvard, they're also dealing with terrorists,
And extremists.
big activist groups, like all this stuff going on. So they need someone to come in and crack the whip, basically, to get things in order.
Yeah, and they do have a lot of, like, a big influx of immigrants, which is, like, one of the strengths of Calvard. But it also means that, I guess, when there's just a lot of people entering the country,
Yeah.
you know, what if Erebonia tries to use that to, like, sneak some people in, I guess, is kind of the logic.
It's kind of like, it's great to have, like, a melting pot of a country where, you know, ingredients are coming from all over. But when those ingredients keep coming, the pot is going to boil over. So, like, they need something in place to kind of keep the good parts of being, like, pro-immigration without, like, losing the cohesion of the country. And at this point, Kilika is like, okay, so what job are you going to offer me exactly, Sip?
And Jin's like, what? Even though we knew this was a meeting
A meeting for Kilika,
with Kilika
yeah.
specifically about, and then we learned it's about this agency. He's so shocked that he's like, what? You're offering Kilika a job? You're poaching her?
And Cochrane's just like, I knew that you would be smart enough to get it. Yes, we want to headhunt you for this new intelligence division.
Yeah.
We want you to be a division chief because we think that your, like, intelligence and information gathering and all that stuff is just so powerful. And Cochrane's like, don't give me a decision right this second. Think on it overnight. That's why I got us all rooms. She's like, all right, you guys think on that. I'm off. She says that she got a room. I'm assuming she didn't get one room because, like, hey, make this decision about your future and then let's all go sleep in the same room together.
That would be something.
But yeah, we cut to a bit later in the evening. Kilika's hanging out on the boardwalk between the restaurant and the baths as Jin comes back. She's like, oh, you weren't in there very long. And she's like, I was there for an hour. Have you been sitting here thinking this whole time? And it turns out she has. And they're just sort of discussing how, they're reflecting on how long it's been since Master Ryuga, her father, passed away in the fight with Walter. It's been 6 years since then, and Killika's like, do you know why I left and joined the guild as a non-combatant, even though I'm from like a martial arts school? Jin's sort of doing his best. And he's like, I just kind of assumed you didn't want to grow up to be an idiot like me and Walter. And she's like, no, that's not it, but you are both idiots.
Yeah.
Which is just a lovely dig.
I love that.
You two were like pursuing the living fist, the sort of martial style, in different ways.
The ideology that goes with it, right?
Yeah. Jin's sort of a protector. He's like the living fist. Walter is destructive. He's like the dying fist. I can't remember what they call it.
There was another term for it that was like burning. I don't remember what the term was, but it was a term of like when you're just violent with it.
Yes, the punching fist.
The punching fist.
And so Killika's like, those are both different ways of interpreting it. I'm trying to find my own path of the living fist, because just because it's martial arts, why does everything have to be about fighting? I get why like the warrior's way is to like grow stronger and challenge yourself, advance in that way, but why does it have to be all about like violence and pain?
Yeah.
She's basically inventing self-defense.
Yeah, and she's specifically like, this is an ideology, like spiritual elements to things like yoga, to like other martial arts schools, whatever. And she's like, does this hold up as a like philosophy outside of the context of punching people?
Yeah.
Like, because I want to believe that this is a philosophy that people can live their lives by without being fighters, but I don't actually know if it works without being a fighter. Like an interesting kind of conundrum. It's very Killika, like philosophical question.
Yeah, she's like, I want to protect people, but how can I do that without being the violent one in their place, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like doubles back and she's like, that was what I thought I was doing, but honestly, I'm pretty sure it's bullshit. I've just been making excuses so that I can not figure out my life and where I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't actually think I'm doing that, and that's kind of why I'm tossing up this decision whether I can actually go through with joining this intelligence team.
Yeah.
And Jin disagrees. He's like, no, it's bullshit. I think you're doing something really meaningful.
Yeah.
Your path of the living fist is preparing the way for others. So he has a couple examples, but it's like, you go down the hard trod path and like soften it for the next person to walk it. You kind of make life easier for others by being the strong one first.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's very eloquent from Jin as well.
She's saying, like, you and Walter have both figured out a path to walk. Even though I don't like what Walter's chosen, like, I can respect it. Like, he's made a choice about what he believes in and sticking to it. I don't feel like I've done that. And Jin's like, it's like he's pointing out that, like, she's falling into her own trap of thinking that, like, there has to be, like, a martial application to how you live your life for it to be valid. Like, and he's like, no, like, what you've done is you're building roads and you're creating, like, structures to help other people. You're creating civilian infrastructure, but like metaphorically. Yeah.
You're sort of becoming the guiding fist, which is like another way of taking it. The fist that makes life easier. That kind of living fist.
Yes.
There are a lot of jokes I could make and I'm not going to.
He also points out that her good point and bad point is that she's both way too strong and way too serious. And sometimes that kind of holds her back from like seeing herself accurately.
Yeah. And she kind of challenges Jen. She's like, just a question. Would you want me back in Calvard or to stay where I am? Like, what would you personally prefer? And he's like, I'm going to be honest. Like, if I'm back in Calvard, it would be nice to have you back in Calvard as well. Mm. And it's not as like, you don't deserve to be here. It's just, it would be nice to have my friend around is kind of the tone of it.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, thank you for sharing. I'm going to take the job.
And he's like, whoa, don't do that just because I want to hang out. And she's like, no, it is. It seems to be that it's like this tipping point rather than the reason. Yeah,
it feels more like she had to like air all her thoughts out in the open, like speak them aloud to someone she can trust.
Yeah.
And quietly, she would also like to hang out with her friend. She'd never say it because she's Killika.
Yeah. And also, maybe a bit of like, would you actually hang out with me? Like, we've had to be together a lot because of work and stuff, but what if we were both back home and not just like two people in a foreign country who like know each other and are familiar? Yeah. Would we still hang out like the way we have been?
Because, I mean, there is like almost a connotation. Every time someone asks him about hanging out with Killika, it's almost that like pseudo-racism thing where you're just like equating people of a group together in the same way like, you know, someone comes out to a family member and is like, oh, here is the list of people I know who are gay.
But there's also the fact that they are like longtime childhood friends, so some of the people know that, and that's why.
But it does feel like sometimes the assumption is like, oh, you're both Calvardian. Don't you want to spend time with your Calvard friend?
Sometimes for sure. Yeah.
And so maybe she's gotten in her head about that a little bit, saying like, is this just circumstantial? Is this just like a pressure to spend time together? Is our like time interacting and like being in each other's lives done? Or is there still a relationship there that even though we've been through all this crazy shit and my father died, can we still have a positive relationship? And all she needs is just like the hint from Jen is like, I would like that. And she's like, done, sealed, I'm going to take the job. So we cut to them catching up with Cochrane out front of Elmo Village as they're obviously preparing to leave. And she's like, how are you this morning? And she's like, I'm feeling good. Good enough to accept a new job. And Cochrane's like, hell yeah, that's great. I'm so excited. But Kilika does lay out her conditions. She's like, I will join on one condition. If I see a single thing I don't like about how this agency is run, I will reform it from the inside.
Yeah.
I will change the name. I will do whatever is required.
Yeah, we'll start with changing the name.
To make this a positive agent. Cochrane's like, honestly, that's pretty much what the president expected. He wanted you for that reason because you would not allow any bullshit to go on. Wicked. I'm going to need like 2-3 months to get ready, train my replacement because I am the best receptionist in the world.
Yeah.
Then I will be ready to move over and help.
As they're leaving,
Jin, again, is like, do you want me to hang out with you for the next 2 to 3 months before you move back?
and she's like, no,
No.
dumbass.
Go home.
Go back to work. Stop playing hooky.
Go home, take this list of very specific requirements for accommodations, and find me a house that I'll like.
Yeah.
So that when I move, you can just point me at it. And after that, they just kind of trot off into the sunrise.
Yeah, and that's the star door. Nice and short.
Nice and short. This one, especially coming off of the moon door, nice and concise. Also, Kilika's great. I love Kilika.
Yeah.
I've warmed up so much to her. I have seen stuff about her in later games, and it was always very interesting. Like, I've mentioned that I love that in the most modern games, the voiced ones, she is voiced by a trans femme voice actress, which I love.
And I headcanon that for Kilika now, too. That I see Kilika
exactly.
as trans now.
Of course. Like, I want it to be that, and they should make it real so that I'm happy. She's a great character, and it's nice to see more layers to her, because she's always been a badass, but kind of getting that, like, inner world a bit more is really nice. Yeah, for sure.
So how would you rank it? I always go first. I'm going to flip it on you.
For this one, for Journey's End, as it's called, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. I really liked this one.
All right.
It was concise. It was fun. It had great character moments. It advanced the plot for them personally and kind of for the world at large. Yeah, a little more exposure to characters that don't get the spotlight as much. I really like that it was a Jin door, but it was a Kilika story.
Yeah, I think I'm still giving it a 4.
Yeah, fair.
But I reserve the right to go back and change that. But in the way I'm feeling right now, I'm like, let's say 4.
Well, that's why I've got my lovely color-coded spreadsheet that I'm obsessed with. Finally, a useful way to employ the skills I learned at my day job, which is Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, but pretty.
Very proud of you.
That wraps up Starter 4 Journey's End. And I think we need a break from doors now. So do you want to go do a dungeon next?
Oh my god, yes.
Come on, let's do it!
We take our party to a field that looks kind of familiar. It's a canyon, kind of. Oh, that view looks familiar. Oh, there's a bracer. It's the local training camp that Cell went to at the beginning of SC. None of my characters have been there. Nobody who I have in my party. So they have to find a sign that tells them.
I had an interesting moment here because I initially booted this up with a different party. Like, I started with the party I had from doing the doors.
Okay.
So it was like Jin and Chloe along with Joshua and Kevin.
Okay.
But I've forgotten that I wanted to swap in Olivier because I wanted to hang out with him for a bit. So originally with Chloe in the party, when they're trying to figure out where it is, Joshua says something. It was like, I don't think this is anywhere in Le Burle.
Yeah, I got that line.
After being prompted by one of the other party members because I don't recognize it. And then Chloe said something about it being in the blah blah mountain ranges, possibly. I can't remember what the term was. The Guer Mountains? The G maybe? I don't know. But when I swapped Chloe out of the party for Olivier, what happened instead was Joshua said, no, this isn't Le Burle, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is part of the Gra Blah Mountains. So he took over Chloe's line and got both elements of the conversation.
Oh, I thought what he said was, he was like, maybe it's in the Crone Mountains, but I don't think so. The air feels different. Crone Mountains are the ones in Le Burle.
Yeah, so it was the exact same line between him and Chloe, but instead of the line being swapped to whoever the third party member was instead, it just went to Joshua.
Oh, that's interesting. No one in the party was enough of a know-it-all.
Yeah, Jin was there, so as a bracer, he should recognize it, but he doesn't.
He says he's never, like, not all bracers go there. It's just all bracers know of it, but they don't all go there. Because Le Mans pretty far.
They're even talking about how, like, they've never seen or heard of a guild building that looks like that before. Surely you've seen a photo or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found it interesting that it's not just this is the line for party member 2, this is the line for party member 3.
No, that is interesting.
The priorities change depending on your party composition, which is so much more work as programmers.
Yeah.
All of those layers of logic to make sure it goes to the right person? Crazy.
No wonder translating this game was brutal. I mean, they all were, but this one apparently was really brutal.
Yeah.
And then we get to see what kind of monster. We hear some weird animal noises,
Mhm.
and we meet the monster types we're gonna get, and we see they're called beast men. So they're like were rats and were something, like half animal beings.
But separate from demons or spirits or anything. So we're getting, is this maybe like a Lehman State folklore tale that we're unfamiliar with? Because I'm pretty sure even if they have those, they don't have intelligent combat-ready monsters like this.
Yeah, and these ones, they point out they're more intelligent than what you
Yeah.
would find normally out and about. Like, they flee when they realize they're outmatched.
Oh, and they also highlight when they find the sign that it is La Local Canyon, that this is, again, a place that's even further away from La Burle, where this
Yeah.
event all happened.
Yeah.
So beyond like Calvard and all that, it's way, way, way out. But it's still being recreated, even though at this moment, no one in the party has been there. And so they're just like, why are we here?
Cube speaks. We get voice from the Cube.
Yes.
We see Ghost Lady again. She's just like, you've done well to come this far. On this plane, there's 3 ordeals for you. If you overcome them all, the next path will open. She says, take this, and we get a map that lets us fast travel around the local. She goes, be forewarned, the Lord of Phantasma's goal is your... And then she, loses reception.
She's got to start structuring her sentences differently to put the important information up top.
Right?
Stop making the critical word the last one.
Yeah.
Come on, Cubina.
Cute.
Also, I find it very funny that on top of the good fast travel we have, we're now getting access to the old, worse fast travel as part of this map as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really like that in my notes, I wrote, she gives us the local map, but because of autocorrect, it changed to the local map, which is still accurate.
Excellent. I like that. But then the only place we can go on the map is the Balstar Channel. The rest of it is clouded off.
Even though we're told we have to complete 3 trials in this plane, we're like, okay, well, a trial or the trials have to be at Balstar because the rest of the map is not here. Joshua kind of points out, based on the logic we know about this place, it seems like we have to go there first, and then maybe the other places will start existing. I think if we went to the end of these dead-end roads, there would just be nothing.
Joshua's the only genre-savvy one. He's the only one who's learned that he's in a video game.
He's very good at it.
But before we go there, there's treasure chests hidden in the lodge.
Oh, yes.
And there's a magic glowing rock in there, too, so we can fast travel here.
Yes, one of the stone monuments. I only singled out one of the chests in the guild building, which was just empty. No, my friend, I'm filled with artisan-style voidness.
I like that. I like the one that says in parentheses, will write flavor text for food.
Yeah. We had another one similar to that. Writing all of these is really hard or something.
Yeah, but that one's a little cuter and a little less angry, a little less rage.
Yeah, these little color commentary moments from the translators are great. We make our way into Balstar Channel, which is looking a little bit different to the last time we were here.
Yeah, as they go down, they're like, it's really hot in here, but once we get in there, it should be colder. No, not the case.
No.
They've replaced the water with lava.
Yeah, just straight up lava. Everyone kind of collectively says, that doesn't seem normal.
Toto, we're not in Le Mans anymore.
But this is a little bit of a confusing dungeon.
It's so weird.
If you recall from when we did this at the start of SC, dear listener, we had a bunch of left-right alternating levers that you had to use to sort of extend bridges and stuff to get around. I can't remember if they did it in the original one, but in this version of Balstar Channel, it's usually one side activates a bridge and the other side makes a treasure chest appear, where I think maybe instead of having left, right, and center originally, we just had left and right or something.
Maybe.
So you start traveling around here, there's more of those beast enemies. The thing that really threw me off here, that I would have been stuck here for ages without a guide, is that you go around lowering the water level of the lava with various switches to almost empty, but not empty. If I hadn't been told, I would have never known that you could walk out onto the lava, because it's fucking lava.
And it does a lot of damage to you. If you're not fast enough, it'll kill you.
Yeah, it just pocks away at every person in the party as they're in lava. The reason that all of these switches have a side that activates a secret chest is those chests have heat-resistant boots in them.
Yeah.
So you get one, and then the other 3 you make appear using the switches, which basically cuts off, I think it was 75% of the heat damage from walking around the floors. Still have to take damage,
Yeah.
but it's not nearly as dramatic. Yeah, I felt like there should have been better clarity on you can walk in this.
At least a conversation being like, I guess we have to walk on the lava, maybe fast, like something. But no, we got nothing.
Yeah.
Got a few chest messages I liked.
Oh, yep.
Judge a dungeon not by the color of its textures, but by the contents of its treasure chests.
I had a pun one, which you know I love. There is nothing left in this chest, mon ami. Am I sure? Très sure. Ha ha ha. Language puns!
I'd also like, joke's on you, this treasure wasn't tax deductible. I love the idea that the bracers have to put what they found in chests on their, like, in their tax returns.
Oh, one thing I did want to point out here is another little bit of game engine stuff that I love. All the shadows cast as you're running around this dungeon.
Oh, yes.
Because there's the lava that is casting shadows, but then heaps and heaps of, what do you call them? Like, flame sticks.
Torches.
Torches. There's these big torches all over the place, so every single one of them casts a shadow. I have this lovely screenshot where I'm standing in front of a treasure chest that is surrounded by 4 of these torch lantern things and then other stuff, and I have shadows going in like 6 directions because they're all casting light and being rendered. Which, again, a little touch of immersion that really makes a more simple game engine feel more real.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really appreciated that they've not just changed how this place looks, they've actually changed how it's presented and rendered.
We also, while we're going through, find a star door for the girl who entrusts her feelings to the blade, who we don't have yet, but we'll find her.
Maybe one of the more opaque hints as well.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't immediately bring someone to mind, for me at least.
I knew who it was, but also just in terms of girls we know who use a blade.
Girls with swords, yeah.
Chloe and Julia use a sword, but we've had doors for them.
And we've seen kind of like the styling of their descriptions as well. It's...
yeah, different.
Despite how much of a bad girl Chloe is, all of hers are like the sweetest, kindest little lady you ever did meet.
Who's as white as the symbol of her crest because she's the royal princess.
Yes, and is so smart that she got into high school. After sort of winding our way through the whole dungeon, finding all those heat boots and opening bridges, at the very end, we find a boss fight against, wouldn't you know it, Dark Annalise and some werewolves.
It's another one of those mimic things, those Grimoire ones, but it's funny because we've already fought Dark Annalise in the last game. It's just it was Mind Control Annalise.
Oh, yeah. So for once, they had those, like, red-eyed profile pics ready to go.
Yeah, they didn't have to do anything for her. And this time they immediately like, oh yeah, that's definitely a Grimoire. She's got the red eyes. Like they're picking up on it. The battle, I had Jin on my party. Just using Jin's like self-buff craft and then having him punch everything is so beautiful. He does so much damage.
It's good, yeah. It was nice. I had been running around this dungeon, hitting all the fights just to like get some levels up and stuff, but mostly just using basic attack to kind of like charge all my CP for an eventual boss fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, Darth Annalise showed up and I just kind of like peppered her with S-crafts until she was a little COVID-19 blob again, and then polished her off.
I didn't use a single S-craft this chapter, and it only just occurred to me.
Really?
I just didn't think of it. I don't know what was wrong with me. It didn't occur to me that I had S-crafts.
I mean, you didn't need them. I do feel like the combats in this were a bit easier than average. Like, maybe I'm just like a little ahead of the curve from all that Sepith farming I did.
This is the first part of the chapter too, though. Like, there is...
True, yeah.
There's still more. But then we get another sealing stone, and everyone's like, wow, I wonder who the hell this could be. It could possibly be who we just fought.
Quelle surprise.
And this is the first time that going back to the Hermit's Garden doesn't automatically get the cutscene where you do the sealing stone.
I did notice that, yeah.
You actually have to go interact with the big stone and select Unleash Sealing Stone. I like Unleash.
Unleash is a very good word, yeah. So yeah, we unleash Annalise, shocker, who arrives sleeping because she's Annalise.
Yeah, it's so good.
She's just lying on the ground.
Repeating her catchphrases.
Yeah. She says, cuteness is justice, fortune favors the cute, keep your friends close and your plushies closer. Hee hee, smart words from smart people. They're all things she said, so she's just sending that she is smart people.
Yeah, and Oliver offers to also take a nap next to her, and together we'll reach the pearled gates of Elysium and cross into the paradise within. And I point that out because Elysium is also from Greek mythology. So we have Hades, we have Elysium, like we've got like a lot of like Greek mythology afterlife terms coming up in this game.
Interesting.
And then Major Vander is like, well, if you're up for a nap, I can be arranged. I can put you to sleep. I can knock you out. And Olivia's like, please don't hurt me. All in one word.
Yeah, I love that. Please don't hurt. It was very Gilbert of him.
It was. Annalise wakes up. She thinks we're all life-size plushies, and I think that's just important to flag.
Yeah, which It's kind of funny because that whole time doing the Star Door tracking down Lecter over and over again, I fully expected at least one of them to be just like a straw dummy in a Genis outfit. Like when they pulled Mickey
Yeah.
out from under the stage, I thought that was going to be like a decoy. But Annalise has come through.
Annalise can hook Lecter up with dummies to fool people.
But she's like, okay, well, I believe you because it's only in reality that Tita could be here and look that cute. So obviously this is reality.
I know I'm getting into too many weeds with her, but I do want to give the one detail that when she's like upset to find out we're not plushies, Joshua goes, well, sorry for being a human being.
Which is a new thing for Joshua too.
Yeah.
He's only recently become a human being, so don't come for him.
Yeah.
But so this was the point where we decided to stop playing the chapter itself, but we do have one last Star Door to check out now that we've found the girl who puts her cuteness in a sword, or whatever.
Right before that, I did just go to figure out where everyone was now standing around.
Oh, yeah.
This is when the conversation with Olivier and Mueller happened, but also, just as a note, Annalise has joined the group of girls who are all hovering around Reese, but
Nice.
while the rest of them are talking about how mad she is and how Kevin needs to apologize to her, Annalise is just like, wow, she's really cute, and then it's teasing her. So, very Annalise. But yes, then we can go do her Star Door. She's in Bose.
She's in Bose. She's reading a letter quietly upstairs at the guild when Lugren comes up to say, hey, what are you doing? You don't typically just like quietly sit.
Yeah.
I thought you were in trouble. And she's like, oh no, I got a letter from my pappy, which I first read as father, but is meant to be like
Her grandfather.
grandpappy, like grandpa.
Yeah.
Her grandpa, who is Yun Kafai,
The Sword Hermit
and the head of the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade school of...
swordsmanship. It's just a swordsmanship school. This is who taught Cassius to use a sword.
Yes.
It's just the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade school.
The sword guy. So he's like, oh, yeah, I kind of knew you were his granddaughter, which is weird, but I never bring it up.
Yeah.
He's like, I do have a question. If you're all about like becoming a better swordswoman, why are you here? Why aren't you training under your like super cool grandpa to be even better at sword? And she's like, I don't want to just learn that. I want to find my way of the sword. Similar kind of thing to Kilika. She's trying to find the raison d'etre for her like swordsmanship, not just becoming technically proficient.
And it sounds like she's kind of the person like, I want to be a bracer and be a good swords person to be a good bracer.
Yeah.
I'm not using being a bracer as a way to get better at the sword. The bracering is the thing that I'm trying to pursue. I've technically learned all the technical skills from him. I just like haven't mastered them. But like I can self-study at this point. And Lugren is really impressed that she had a serious conversation.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't think you were capable of speaking like an adult. And she's like,
Wow.
Hey, come on now. But it turns out the letter is directing her to go and see Cassius.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want you to go meet Cassius. And I don't know if it's like explicitly stated in the letter or if she just infers it from it.
It does.
Yeah, it's like, I want you, now that like Cassius has rejoined the army, can you go check if he wants to do sword again? Because he's in the army again.
Yeah. And I was bummed when he stopped sorting.
Yeah.
It is here that she says Cassius went to see him in person to tell him I'm not going to use sword anymore. Back when he put it away.
Which, a very honorable thing to do to your master. Say like, thank you for all you've given me. I'm changing. And it's, assumably, he explained the reasons behind it to Yunkafai at the time. Say like, I want to pursue like a protector's role. I'm taking up the staff because...
I'm
bracing, not soldiering.
And Lugren's like, yes, I can get in touch with the army and arrange a meeting for Cassius with you, but you have to go and do all the monster extermination requests now while I do that.
Yep. All 5, I think he says, extermination quests off the board.
We do that every chapter.
Exactly. She's like, yeah, we're short-staffed because Grant was still, like, in another region at this point. And so he's like, oh, fine, I'll do the extermination quest. And then it says 2 days later. So it really took her a while.
3. Took 3 days.
3 days. 3 days for 5 bracer missions? Come on, Annalise.
Well, maybe it took 3 days for the meeting to be booked. He is a busy man.
Maybe.
I do like that she arrives at the thing. She's like, I'm finally here. And she goes, okay, let's go bug Cassius.
Yep. Just no sense of authority to this girl. I love it. And so she's made to wait outside the gates for a while because they're like, he's really busy. His meeting ran long. You'll just have to hang out outside the fortress until he's done.
It's wild that they don't have a place inside the fortress to wait.
Like a waiting room, yeah.
They have a lot of rooms in there. We know we broke in once.
Yeah, she's just hanging out on the bridge outside Leyston Fortress for ages until he's finally ready. An officer comes in to collect her, and she gets to meet with Cassius, where they have a lovely chat.
They talk a bit about Estelle, and that, she and Estelle are pushing each other to become better because they're rivals, which is code for something gay.
Mm-hmm.
They, talk a bit about Yunkafai is still in good health. Cassius gives a bit of background, like, 20 years ago, he trained me, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But Annalise is like, yeah, he came to ask why you don't want to use the sword anymore. And he kind of gives an answer, but he's like, I don't want to. I'm not going to. But Annalise kind of gets upset.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it's about her. She's like, what do you mean? Like, I want to protect people with my sword. Why couldn't you keep protecting people with the sword? Does that mean there's something wrong with the sword for protecting people?
Yeah. She's kind of taking offense because they've learned from the same person, the same skills, the same kind of like ethos of swordsmanship. And she's like, you've given up this because you think the staff is the better weapon. Why are you talking shit about swords? I love swords. How could you disrespect them like that? She's not coming at him. She's just like, I'm confused and frustrated. Why don't you want to do swords again? Like, you're in the army.
Do you really think staffs are better? And it's
Yeah.
clear to us, I think, that Cassius has chosen the staff not because he thinks it's like an inherently stronger weapon, but because it suits who he wants to be as a warrior, as a fighter, what his new philosophy, whatever better. But to her, she's really seeing it as like, what is wrong with the sword? And is it that you're disrespecting the sword, or am I somehow in the wrong for using the sword?
Yeah. And he says, no, definitively, the staff is not the stronger weapon, but it's not about strength for me.
Yeah.
I used to use sword, I used to attack, now I use staff because I want to protect.
Yep. But Anna said, but I want to protect, and I use sword. Is that not good? And Cassie's like, you know what? You need to learn this through battle. And I can't battle you and teach you, but I know someone who can.
I know a guy. So we step outside into the yard of Leyston Fortress when over wanders none other than the man who's all about men himself, Alan Richard.
Back in his old colonel uniform, too.
Yeah, with the nice white bib down the front.
Though he's quick to say, I'm wearing this uniform because it's the only thing I have that I can sword fight in, but I'm not a colonel. I did not get re-promoted.
Yeah, he's very kind of self-deprecating in this scene. He's very chill.
Like he was at the banquet.
Yeah, he's crapping on himself a little bit.
Yeah.
Not letting anyone defend him. He's like, yeah, I kind of suck. And even though the Queen pardoned me, that doesn't excuse any of this shit I did. I still did it, and it still counts. Mm-hmm. I'm not in the army. Haha, look at me wear this army uniform. Isn't that silly?
He's starting a research agency of some kind.
Yeah, that was interesting. He's starting a civilian research agency. Doesn't clarify what he's researching about.
We may or may not learn more about that in the future, but not now.
Cassius goes to defend him. He's like, hey, come on, you've done the work to kind of redeem yourself. And he's like, Cassius, please shut up.
Yeah.
Kindly. Nah, I'm going to take my own path. I'm going to redeem myself in my own time.
And I think it's interesting that it's clear that he's not like boo-hoo. When he talks self-deprecatingly about himself, it's not like he's trying to get pity.
Yeah.
You don't get the impression of someone who wants people to be like, no, you're not that bad. He's not like, I'm the worst person ever. But he's like, no, I am not in a self-hatred spiral. I'm just like very keenly aware of how fucked up what I did is, and I don't want anyone to let me off the hook for it.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the way someone who may have had a history of addiction of some form learns to really openly and honestly talk about their faults and flaws.
And the harm they caused when they were using. Yeah.
Yeah, you've moved past the self-righteousness and the shame after you sort of gotten better perspective. And now you're kind of at an acceptance stage where he's like, I accept what I've done. I accept that it's not done with and there is still more to do.
And I accept that I've done harm and I need to try and make amends for that harm and to people I've harmed. And the fact that I've done work on myself doesn't mean that I don't still need to make amends with the people I've hurt. Yeah,
because I hold myself to this standard, I'm not going to let anyone else excuse me, even if it is out of kindness or support. I know in my heart that for me to feel redeemed, I need to still do the work.
But we're not here to redeem him. We're here to fight.
Yes. Cassius says, I want you guys to fight. And Annalise is like, against Alan Richard? Are you sure? But he knows her.
Yeah.
She's like, you're Annalise, Elfriede, one of the senior bracers. I know of you. And she's like, how do you know about me? I'm not that famous.
I owned the intelligence division.
I was in charge of the intelligence division. So,
I know every bracer in the country, honey.
She kind of throws up a defense saying, hey, I don't know if this is a good idea. But then he's like, hey, yeah, let's do it. And she's like, excellent, pulls out a sword and is ready to fight. And then you get to do a one-on-one battle with Alan Richard as Annalise.
Yeah.
How did you find this on your higher difficulty?
I mean, I'm still only on normal. It is harder. Like, you do have to plan. You do have to, like, you can't just, like, wing it. I used her self-buff craft and then mostly used her fallen leaves craft that delays him.
Oh.
And then whenever I fell below half HP, I would heal. And it took a while. But I was like, the last thing I want is for him to have a bunch of turns in a row. So I wasn't going to S-craft.
True, yeah. He's a nuisance.
On this difficulty, I was sure he would. So I just chipped away at him and eventually got him. How about you?
I'm playing easy, so it was a little bit easier, funnily enough. I used the buffing craft and then actually just like chipped away at him with standard attacks, which worked pretty well. I had to heal like one time.
Nice.
But he does open the battle on his first turn by using his S-craft to kind of put you at a disadvantage. But too bad for him, I hit him with an S-craft before he could. So he was already down like a quarter of his health or something at that point. Afterwards, Annalise acts like totally shocked that she won. I was like, that was like 4 turns, Annalise. Like, it took Joshua and Estelle like 10 minutes.
Okay, it took me like 10 minutes too, so it felt accurate. I also felt like, whew, okay, we're done. It wasn't like that was the hardest battle ever, but it was a marathon, not a sprint.
I did read that on Nightmare difficulty, this is one of the most challenging fights in the entire game.
In the whole series, yeah.
Because, Alan's fast, he gets multiple turns in a row, you're only one person, you can only heal yourself so much. Luckily, she is equipped with Teoh, the strongest healing art.
No, the second strongest.
Oh, Teoh, yeah.
Tier all as 2 words for some reason.
Yes, Teoh. How could I forget? The fight was knocked out. After the fight, Cassius is like, hey, Annalise, what can you tell me about Alan Richards' fighting style? And she starts off very technical. She's like, well, I can see that he's using a modified version of the 5th form of 8 Leaves 1 Blade, the Morning Moon, which is mostly focused on sheathing and unsheathing tech. Which makes sense because
that's what he's doing.
Alan is a weeaboo. Like, he loves to pull out his katana and then dramatically put it back in its sheath. He's all about that image.
She's like, the other thing I noticed, it's almost like she starts by giving like what she's been trained to list, and then she's like, okay, the thing I realized was interesting is that he swings his sword in perfect sync with my breathing. Like, not his breathing, my breathing.
Yeah.
Which is like super defensive to me because it's like, everything he does is completely built around anticipating what I'm doing rather than offensive.
It's an intelligence-led fighting style, basically.
Yeah, and very defensive to the point where she's like, I can't figure out why you're so defensive. Like, I assume it means that you're coming from a desire to protect, but I don't really get it. And he gives a speech about how he uses his sword to fight to protect Liberal. I know this sounds kind of silly because of what I did to it, but even then, like, I was driven by, very wrongly, my ideal was to protect the country. Everyone wants to protect something, and the way we choose to protect things are different. And this is how my desire to protect manifests and matches with the sword technique that I picked, and it all works in perfect harmony.
Yeah, he kind of like concludes by saying both your career choice and your choice of weapon are indicative of what's important to you and what you want to do in the world.
Yeah.
Annalise is very happy, and then Cassia says, congratulations, I think you've taken a step in the right direction about understanding your swordsmanship. I have a gift for you. And hands her one of his old swords. It sounds like it's an older sword that he used to use, not like the sword he was using when he quit or anything.
I'm not sure. It might be. When you look at the stats on this thing, this is like the strongest weapon in the game, I think. It's like plus 1,000 strength.
It's Genu is the name of the sword.
She's like gonna be a permanent party member now because she has this sword. Like she's like absurd. It's unreal, the sword stats. You're gonna lose your mind when you really look at it.
Yeah, I did equip it, but I didn't read up on it.
I think I screenshotted it. Okay, so it's plus 1,000 strength, ATS and ADF plus 50, dexterity plus 25, agility and speed plus 5. So I equip her and she now has 1,900 strength. Everyone else is about 1,200.
Damn. I keep forgetting that like the metrics for this are like so jacked up now that we're over 100.
Yeah.
Level 100. Yeah, it's a great little sword. So I don't think I'm going to re-equip her for a while.
No.
He says, yeah, take this blade and basically do what you want to do the way you want to do it.
Yeah. And then we go back to the guild, and it's like, I think this is actually like my grandfather's plan all along. He knew that I was like having internal anxiety. He knew if I went and talked to Cassius, this would happen. Like, he planned it all out.
Yeah.
Lucan's like, this is great for you. We have a shit ton of work, so you have to get back to it.
We've got so much work to do, and then we kind of wrap up, and that's the end of the Star Door.
She writes a little letter to her grandfather saying what she's learned, which we've already covered, and she's going to give it her best. And now she has an awesome sword, so she definitely is going to give it her best. Because she has no choice. She's going to be in my party for, like, ever now.
Yeah, that's the end of the door. Star Door 5, Swordsmanship.
Yeah.
So, out of 5 stars, what would you give Swordsmanship, Lex?
Damn, I don't know. You go first.
I like Annalise, and it's nice to spend some time with her, plus get a bit more insight into Cassius and Alan kind of standing at this point. I'm going to say 3.5 out of 5. I liked it, but it hasn't impacted me the way the other 2 this week have.
See, I feel like I liked it around the same as the Killiga one, I think.
Okay.
I partially, just because it was cool to see Cassius and Alan, and partially because I really liked the fight. The fight gave it a lot of points. So 3.5 or 4. I'll say 3.5. I think I like the Killiga one a little more.
Yeah, fair enough. It was a good one. Obviously, the payoff with the new sword is really great.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember, did we already know that he was her grandfather?
I don't know if it's come up.
Okay. Knowing later events and story, like hearing about the Sword Hermit at all is very exciting.
Yes.
But I wouldn't necessarily know that at this point in the series.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to keep my score at the 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that takes care of that.
That is our third and final memory door for the week. My goodness, we made it through.
And next week, we got some more doors. We're going to finish chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do the second half of Moon Door 1, and we're going to do Moon Door 2. We're not going to do Star Door, because I'm not putting us through the next Star Door next week on top of the Moon Doors.
I think 2 Moon Doors is enough. Like, Moon Door 1 Part 2, which is the continuation of that Teeter one we played at the very start, which took 16,000 years to finish.
Yeah. It'll be shorter, and then there's another Moon Door 2.
Moon Door 2, I can't remember what the description was for that one, because we've come across it already, haven't we?
We've come across it.
Okay. That brings us to the end of another episode of Trails Through Trails. Thank you so much for joining us once again to play Trails in the Sky the third, this time Chapter 4, next time also Chapter 4. Before we sign off, as always, we have the TWG Community Chest, our wonderful treasure chest full of all of our fellow podcasters. Wait, that makes it sound like we locked them all in a big box. We didn't do that. We wrote their names on a bunch of pieces of paper from purple post-its that I had handy.
And put them in a box.
We love to sing out one of our fellow shows every week, so let's see who this week's selection is. Flow State, Matt Horton's YouTube channel, covering all kinds of critical analysis of video games, often assisted by our friend Lex.
Yeah, we've got some exciting stuff that we're working on. We're doing some deep dives into some JRPGs.
Nice.
That we're working on. That should be coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. It's very exciting.
Very cool. So yeah, check out Flow State on YouTube. Plenty of videos to enjoy over there, and more coming by the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, though, if you want to know more about us after spending the last 2 hours listening to us talk, you can visit us on the OrbleNet at trailspod.online. That's our website.
Yeah.
It's got links to all of our socials, such as Twitter, I'm going to keep saying it, which is TrailsPod. Blue Sky, which is also TrailsPod. Instagram, you guessed it, TrailsPod.
We're so lucky that it wasn't taken.
Thank Christ. You can check us out there. Please leave reviews on your podcast platforms of choice. That always helps us. If you have any questions or comments or feedback that you want to provide us, you can send it through on any of those social channels or at our email address, which is trailsthroughtrails@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us and our extended network of friends at the Worst Garbage Podcast Network's website, which is theworstgarbage.online. And that's all of the things that I have to say.
And that's all she wrote.
So next week, we will be finishing off the remainder of Chapter 4 of the game, along with the second half of Moon Door 1 and Moon Door 2, which is also one that is there. So until we next chat to you, I have been Matt.
I've been Lex. And
as our good friend Kevin likes to say,
it's over!
TWG, the worst garbage, online.